Everything starts with our protagonist sleeping peacefully until the sound of his cell phone wakes him up. Slowly, he opens his eyes, still a little drowsy and confused by the situation. Sitting up in bed, the young man wonders how he ended up in that hotel room. Looking to the side, he sees a woman and remembers having a long conversation with her last night. Suddenly, his cell phone rings with the name Jiaoji on the screen, and our hero remembers her well. Jiang Cheng picks up the device and sees a few messages from her, remembering that the girl had left him in college. Confused, the young man realizes she had blocked him but now acts as if they were still a couple. So he opens the calendar on his cell phone and notices that the date is marked as October 27th. With this, the protagonist is completely shocked and asks himself if he might have been reborn. A bad memory surfaces showing his ex-girlfriend with an older man, humiliating him in public. That memory hits him hard because he had promised to love her forever, but reality was harsh. Knowing her personality, our hero knows the girl just wanted an excuse to ask for money. He realizes how blinded he was by love, but now, with a new chance, he decides to act immediately. Jiang Cheng then sends a message ending the relationship, and the girl becomes furious with his attitude. Saying they are too different, the young man hears her agree to the breakup, telling him not to regret it. At that moment, a blue screen appears in front of him, congratulating him on activating the dream system. He is stunned by the wealthy system and happy to have been reborn with 2 advantages for the future. Soon after, a screen with his information appears, showing that he now earns money every second. His system presents him with a beginner's package, and the protagonist orders it opened right away. He gains 10 million yuan, a sports car, and a card, and the money is deposited into his account instantly. Jiang Cheng smiles, seeing the rewards, but wonders what that friendly scanner is. Looking at the woman in bed, he has the idea of testing the new ability on her to see what it does. With a simple touch, the young man activates the friendly scanner in the direction of the sleeping girl. Then a screen appears with her information, and the protagonist wonders what the privacy value is. Tap in the option. The system explains that this value refers to the number of people she has been intimate with. He realizes that the value of 1 means he was her first man and is shocked by the discovery. A memory comes up, showing him trying to call his ex, but she hung up the phone. Our hero remembers going to the bar to get drunk and finding Yu Xiaoxiao there drinking alone. Assuming she was just drunk, the young man thinks she did not fall in love with him since the friendship level was low. Right then, the girl wakes up and stares at him, somewhat confused by the situation they are in. She asks if he was thinking about the past, and the young man just sighs with a bitter smile. Jiang Cheng approaches and says he wasn't thinking about the past, and the young woman questions what he was talking about. He replies that he regretted not having met her sooner, and invites her to test whether he was telling the truth. All of a sudden, the system appears and gives him a reward and a new ability called Quick Wit. Surprised, the protagonist thinks that with this new ability, their night would be even better. Next, he uses his new technique and kisses her intensely while a skill log appears on the screen. Shocked by his ability, the girl comments that the kiss was totally different than before. With a smile on his face, the young man announces that this was only the beginning of their night. Following that brief conversation, the couple returns to enjoying themselves in bed, taking advantage of the night. The next morning, Jiang Cheng wakes up, stretching with a pile of money next to him in bed. Our hero is confused by the money and thinks Yu Xiaoxiao must have mistaken him for a paid companion. Picking up a note left by her, he finds the girl interesting for having paid for his first time. While getting dressed, the young man regrets not having gotten the young woman's contact information before she left. Focusing on the critical hit card, he hears the system explain that the item multiplies the money spent. Now reborn with a system, the protagonist decides he will become a world-famous wealthy man. Realizing he is in a good time for investing, the young man plans to gather capital to buy stocks. With a smile, he thinks that these large companies will be the starting point for his ambitions. Holding the car key, he remembers that he can manipulate the real estate market because he doesn't need loans. He approaches his new car, thinking that his cards are perfect for buying a house. Upon arriving there, a woman is sitting on the hood and asks if that luxury car belongs to him. Our hero confirms that the car is his and asks the young woman what she wants with him. Asking for a ride, the woman says a pipe burst at her house, which is why she is in a hurry. Jiang Cheng then uses the friendly scanner on her and sees that her privacy value is 28. This young man finds her proactive attitude and the friendship value of 90 quite suspicious. Getting into the car, he says he doesn't want to get involved with the other 28 people she has already been with. Soon after, the protagonist speeds up the car and drives away, leaving the girl behind in the dust. Completely shocked, the young woman wonders how that guy knew about her 28 boyfriends. She is still frustrated about being rejected by such a handsome guy and doesn't understand what happened. An elderly man then approaches and offers to fix her pipe, introducing himself as a plumber. Annoyed, the woman calls the poor old man disgusting, feeling offended by the offer. Angrily sending him away with disgust, the woman watches people nearby start laughing at the poor man. Then a guy explains to the old man that her pipe problem was actually something else. Wishing him good luck, the man watches as the plumber observes the young woman leave, upset with the situation. Angrily, the girl complains about her terrible day while adjusting her shoe to continue walking. Meanwhile, our protagonist arrives at a real estate agency where two brokers await him at the door. Thinking he is a playboy with his father's car, the older broker tells the novice to attend to him. Jiang Chen gets out of his yellow sports car with a confident air, ready to do business. Although the novice seems nervous, the man tells her to follow the procedure they have already practiced. The young woman, named She, then introduces herself and welcomes our hero, asking how she can help. Asking to see some properties, the young man hears her ask about his budget and preferences. From afar, the other broker smokes, thinking the girl needs to learn to screen clients better. Showing cheap options, the broker is told by him to skip those and go straight to the 1 million ones. She is surprised by the amount but quickly agrees to look for properties in that price range. Soon after, she remembers to ask about the preferred area and feels a little embarrassed. He asks for locations that are easy to rent with basic renovations and notices that the girl is quite inexperienced. Scanning her, the protagonist sees that she is 19 years old and has never had partners, finding her life difficult. This broker then shows properties with prices ranging from 300,000 to over 1 million. Jiang Chen remembers that his beginner's card has a limit of 1 million and cannot exceed that. He calculates that buying cheaper properties would not be advantageous, even with the system's multiplication. So he asks if she can negotiate 5 properties for 1 million each, and he would pay for everything in cash. Completely shocked, the broker asks if the payment will really be all in cash. Smiling, the protagonist confirms and even says he will hire her to manage the rentals. With hearts in her eyes, the young woman is filled with joy and guarantees she will close that deal. Peeking through the door, the other broker regrets having misjudged the young man and dismissed the client. Soon after, the real estate manager appears with the contracts and informs him that the commission is 2%. Jiang Chen signs the papers right away and says he trusts Xia for future negotiations. Radiant, the girl thinks about her commission and wonders what kind of man he is to spend so much. As soon as the purchase is finalized, the system activates the cards and his money multiplies absurdly. With this, our hero levels up and his system becomes stronger, generating even more cash per second. He realizes how different his life is with the system and decides he will splurge a little to celebrate. Approaching Xia, the young man asks her to talk for a moment, making the young woman curious. Her colleague interjects and tells the girl to take the client to dinner and build a good relationship. Jiang Chen then tells the young woman to stay with him because this won't be the last time they do business. Speechless and completely embarrassed, the broker reacts to the young man's unexpected proposal. Seeing the confusion, he explains that he wasn't asking her out and just wanted her account number. Surprised, the young woman asks why he would make a transfer to her account. Claiming she was his lucky star, the protagonist says he wanted to thank her and see her again. She still doesn't understand what Mr. Jiang meant by all that talk. Suddenly, she receives a transfer notification for the amount of 35,000 yuan and is stunned. Thinking he made 200 million, the young man figures giving her 35,000 was quite reasonable. Already, the broker shows her QR code and offers to pay for a thank you dinner. Noting her friendship level has risen to 80, the protagonist thinks about how powerful money is. Exchanging contacts, the young woman notices that Mijiang is actually a very handsome guy. In her thoughts, the girl considers that if he wanted something more, perhaps she would accept the proposal. But Jiang Chen just says goodbye, telling her she worked hard and that they will see each other next time. Confused by his attitude, the broker runs out, trying to catch up with him before he leaves. Our hero, however, is already inside his car and just waves to her with a smile on his face. 20 minutes later, the young man arrives at his house and opens the door to his old room. His mother greets him with watermelon, and his father asks about the graduation trip he was planning. Saying he is thinking of going to Modu, the young man explains he wants to check out the area of the college he will attend. His father agrees with the idea and says he will ask his mother to transfer the travel money. Joking, the lady says he spoils his son too much, and so the boy will have difficulty finding a wife. Jiang Chen asks her not to bring up that subject and promises that he won't disappoint them this time. The next day, our hero is on the plane, complaining about the cramped economy class seat. Accidentally, he bumps into the person sitting next to him in the aisle seat. He apologizes politely while trying to pass the passenger to reach his place. To his surprise, the young woman recognizes him as Jiang Chen and reveals herself as an old acquaintance. Confirming that that is his seat, the young man hears her say that coincidentally it is her place too. Thanking him, the girl passes him to sit in the middle seat of the row. Suddenly, another guy appears, saying that his seat is also there, and approaches the young woman. Jiang Chen then suggests that Zhou Ying take the window seat so they can be more comfortable. Complaining right away, the other guy says that you can't just switch seats on the plane. With a smile, our hero says they are together, and the seating arrangement is none of his business. Already seated, the busybody asks what the young woman is going to do in Modu, and she replies that it's for work. The young woman then turns to the protagonist and questions him about the reason for his trip to the city. He says he was bored at home and decided to travel a bit to distract himself and clear his head. Introducing himself as Chuan Shen, the guy with glasses says he is also going to Modu on a trip. He warns the young woman about tourist traps and offers to give her a ride from the airport. Our hero cuts him off, saying that his hotel has a pickup service and he doesn't need to bother. Chuan Shen then asks which hotel he booked, and the protagonist replies that it is the Amini Engine. Shocked to hear the name, the guy knows that is a luxury hotel that cost billions to build. He says the room he stayed in there didn't have pickup, but Jiang Cheng reveals he booked an entire villa. Dotting the story, the guy with glasses asks if he is sure about what he is saying about the villa. Commenting that the villa cost 80,000 per night, the girl says she never imagined he was a rich guy. Our hero then replies with a smile, saying that she also isn't a rich girl by chance. A memory emerges, showing that the young woman was well known at school for going to class in a Rolls-Royce. She was the darling of the heavens and guys felt insecure around her, so no one approached her. Our protagonist remembers not paying attention to her because he was focused on his ex and heard about her family's problems. Back in the present, the young woman looks a little sad and says that nowadays she is hardly a rich girl. Realizing he said the wrong thing, the young man quickly thinks of changing the subject to break the ice. And so the two started talking about the old school days throughout the trip. Laughing a little, the young woman says that their school was indeed a very fun place to be. He then uses the scanner and sees that her friendship level has risen to 75, which is a good sign. Wondering if she wasn't already paying attention to him back in high school, the young man considers the possibility. Time flies by and soon they arrive at Modu Airport, ready for the trip. A well-dressed woman is waiting for him with a sign and introduces herself as his private butler. His colleague is then asked by the protagonist where she will be staying in the city. He offers her a ride and asks the butler to take her to Pudong first. From afar, the guy with glasses thinks our hero is a show-off and wants to save the girl from him. 25 minutes later, the young woman thanks him for the ride and invites him to eat sometime. Agreeing, the young man hears her thank him once again for all the help he gave today. With that, the two exchange contacts and say goodbye, promising to meet again soon. Watching the girl leave, the guy with glasses is shocked that he let her go so easily. Half an hour later, our hero arrives at his luxury villa and thinks the place was worth every penny. His butler then appears and informs him this bath is ready and waiting for him. Suddenly, she grabs him from behind, and the young man is surprised, asking if that is part of the service. The butler says that helping him undress is included, but the lower part is up to him. Entering the hot water, the protagonist sees the butler approaching with something in her hand. She then explains that scrubbing his back is also part of the luxury hotel service. As she helps him, he finds the sensation incredible and thinks how nice a special service would be. Feeling a connection with him, the butler says she only does it as she approaches him in the water. She then asks if the water is too hot because he looks warm and moves even closer. All read, the protagonist questions what on earth he is thinking at that moment. 5 minutes later, she invites him to a super VIP reception that will feature a jewelry auction. Our hero asks about the dress code and she says it is a casual event with no rules. Upon arriving there, the butler introduces him as the guest in the villa with the titanium card. With a smile on her face, the woman wished Mr. Jiang a wonderful night at the event. Entering the hall, the young man realizes that the auction has already begun and the place seems quite lively. The next item is a limited edition watch with a starting bid of 15 million yuan. With an excited shout, the auctioneer opens the bidding for the super rare luxury watch. He knows that the price of that item will soar to 25 million in just a few years. Seeing the easy profit, he raises his paddle and makes the first bid of 15.5 million. Another guy bids 16 million, and the dispute over the watch begins to heat up. People are shocked by the 18 million bid and wonder who bidder 35 is. Bangs the gavel, the auctioneer sells the watch for 18 million to our protagonist. Two wealthy men from Modu then approach, and our hero introduces himself as Jiang Cheng. The blonde says the other bidder was his friend and asks if the young man is a watch expert. He replies that he is not an expert and that he has never bought one before, it being his first time. Surprised by the amount, the wealthy man hears the young man explain that he arrived in Modu yesterday for university. Shocked, the blonde guy says that at 18 years old, he would never have the courage to make a move like that. His blonde young man friend then invites him to hang out together sometime, and the protagonist just agrees. After saying goodbye, the system congratulates him on leveling up, and his annual salary hits the 900 million mark. He thinks that for a normal person, this is a lot, but for his plans, it's just a drop in the ocean. Suddenly, our hero spots a familiar figure and recognizes the girl from the night at the hotel. Recognizing him too, the young woman with a smile on her face approaches our protagonist. She remembers being paid to spend the night with him, and that it was a wonderful night. Inviting her to join him, the young man sees the woman accept the proposal, saying he needs to try harder. Right then, her ex Fianchi appears and tells her to stop what she is doing in front of everyone. Telling him to mind his own business, the girl hears him remind her that they are still engaged. She gets angry and says the guy has no shame talking about marriage after everything that happened. Irrelevant, the man replies, claiming the final decision to marry is his end of story. With disgust, the young woman says he only uses her as a fat guide to find his toys around. Then the system appears and gives our hero two options to solve that annoying situation. He gets annoyed with the first option and asks the system if he looks like someone who is cheated on. Explaining the system, he learns that physical enhancement includes all body attributes without exception. With an evil smile, the protagonist steps forward and punches the girl's ex-fiancé in the face. He says he hates these experimenters and that they are a flaw in a nation's moral character. Stepping on the fallen man, the young man is watched by the girl with admiration, and her friendship level rises. Screaming for help, the ex-fiancé calls the event's security guards to arrest him. Security guards grab him, and the man shouts that he will call the police and sue everyone. Telling him not to worry, the young woman says she will claim he was defending her from harassment. Shouting that the hotel has cameras, the ex-fiancé threatens to use the footage to get revenge on everyone. Suddenly, an armed man appears in the hall and starts threatening the guests, who scream in terror. Grabbing the ex-fiancé, the lunatic demands they bring the traitorous couple, or he will take out everyone there. Terrified, the young man tells the others to find the people the criminal is looking for at the party. Then the system appears with a special event and 2 options for our hero to deal with the situation. The young man thinks that to prevent the crime, saving the jerk Jong-yu would be necessary, which he doesn't want to do. But for everyone's safety and the divine technique, he decides he needs to act immediately. Before acting, the protagonist remembers an item the system gave him and decides to use it now. A blue aura surrounds him as the enhancement multiplier card is activated in the system. With this, he feels a wave of power flowing through every part of his body, making him stronger. With his face covered by a mask, the young man runs at high speed toward the aggressor. Then, with a single accurate punch, he hits the bandit squarely in the face, who doesn't see the blow. After knocking down the criminal, our hero stops in the middle of the hall while everyone looks on in shock. Open mouth, the young woman realizes he is not just a wealthy man but also a true beast. Also stunned by the young man's strength, the ex-fiancé stares at him with an expression of fear. With the aggressor already on the ground, the protagonist approaches and holds his arm to immobilize him. Guests are impressed by his bravery and comment on how handsome he is and how quickly he defeated him. Police arrive, and an officer thanks our hero for his help while they take the bandit into custody. But the ex-fiancé accuses him of assault, and the police officer asks the young man if it's true that he assaulted him. His young woman friend then defends him, saying that the ex-fiancé was trying to trick her into marrying him. Our hero realizes that her friendship level has risen to 90 and that she is now completely into him. Hugging her, the protagonist tells her not to worry because he won't let that jerk bother her. The officer says it was all a misunderstanding, but the ex-fiancé insists on seeing the recordings. Angry at both of them, the young man decides to use the system's bad luck card on the girl's ex-fiancé. An aura of bad luck surrounds the man as the system's card is activated and takes effect on him. His cell phone rings with a bank fraud alert informing him that $200,000 was withdrawn. Soon after, he receives another call warning him that a tree fell on his car. Although the police officer tries to talk to him, the young man runs off, saying he doesn't have time for nonsense. With a victorious smile, our hero says he reaped what he sowed and calls the young woman to leave. 5 minutes later, she asks if he got hurt and examines him, worried about his well-being. Smiling, the young man says that a loser like that would never be able to truly hurt him. She insists on checking for safety and approaches to see if he has any scratches. Asking if he looks down on her for having that fiancé, the young woman hears him say he was just surprised by the situation. She explains that the engagement was arranged by her sick grandfather, and that she discovered his cheating later. He hugs her to comfort her when the girl asks if he cares about their relationship. She thinks he was her first man and that this type of relationship is easier than dating. Our hero says he doesn't mind and promises that he will treat her well from now on. With a shy smile, the young woman snuggles into his arms and the two kiss passionately. The next morning, 2 maids clean the room and comment on the mess they made. One of the maids comments that her husband is not so manly, and the other says with envy that the couple's night was very busy. Sometime later, our hero and the blonde young woman are in a restaurant while he looks at his cell phone. He sees a post from someone showing an expensive watch they received as a gift from their mother. With a smile, he asks if he can borrow her legs for an anniversary photo. Asking if it's his birthday, the young woman hears him explain that he just wants to post a gift like everyone else. She then agrees to the joke and lifts her legs on the table, striking a very bold pose. Next, the young woman takes off her high-heeled shoes to make the photo even more interesting. With one of her feet, she holds a napkin, and the young man prepares to take her photos. He takes the photos, thinking that his gift is faster than any luxury supercar. Then he creates a collage with the best photos he took to post on social media. Immediately, the post goes viral, and several guys are very envious of his gift. Afterward, our hero goes to a luxury dealership to check out the cars. An employee takes him to see the available models in the car store's showroom. Nearby, an older man offers a car to a redhead, but she seems reluctant. Insisting, the man says he will pick her up from work, but she tries to make an excuse. Overhearing the conversation, the protagonist recognizes the young woman as a future very famous actress. He remembers that the girl became famous for a photo coming out of the pool and became a star. Back in the present, the boss pressures her to accept the car, but she refuses the offer. Getting furious, the man threatens her, saying that if she doesn't go with him, her career will end. But the redhead is unfazed and says her answer is the same, and he can do whatever he wants. Suddenly, the system appears and gives our hero a special mission to complete. The mission is to help the redhead, getting her to sign a contract to earn a reward. Approaching the saleswoman, the young man asks about the conditions for buying a LaFerrari. Explaining that it is a limited model, the young woman says he needs to be an old customer to buy the car. With a slight smile, the protagonist asks if that means he cannot buy the vehicle. Thinking for a moment, the saleswoman says it's not impossible to get the car he wants. She explains that some orders are cancelled and he can pay the total price to jump the line. Shocked, the employee wonders if he knows how much that luxury car costs. The redhead also doubts it because even her boss would think twice before spending that much. Informing him, the saleswoman says the personalized car costs between 40 and 50 million yuan. Our hero says he knows the price and that he agrees to pay the total price for the car he wants. Then the wealthy man from the auction appears with the manager and is surprised to see it was his friend. Explaining, the young man says he arrived in Shanghai without a car and resolved to buy one to get around. His friend laughs and says that this is the biggest display of wealth disguised as humility he has ever seen. Then he introduces him to the manager and shows the 18 million watch the young man bought. With a confident smile, the protagonist displays his expensive watch to impress the manager. Stunned by the price of the watch, the manager realizes that the young man is filthy rich. He then says that capital verification is not necessary and that he will register the purchase. The redhead's boss is shocked by the young man's wealth, and his friend estimates his net worth. Giving up on buying the car, the man then tells the redhead to go drink with him to make him happy. Shocked by her attitude, the man leaves, annoyed with the situation in the store. Our hero calls out to the young woman, and she turns around, surprised that he is talking to her there. Introducing himself as Jiang Cheng, the young man offers to invest in her instead of the other guy. Shocked by the offer, the redhead thinks he is richer and would be better than the other one. She accepts right away, but he says he needs to resolve other things, and they will talk about the investment tomorrow. They then exchange contacts and agree to meet the next day to close the deal. The protagonist asks the manager when he can get his car, and he says it will take 1 year. Disappointed by the delay, the young man is invited by his friend to an auto show. A few days later, he arrives at the hotel to meet the blonde, who is anxiously waiting for him. This young woman takes him to try the crab roll rice, which is the specialty of the place. Several delicious dishes are served on the table, but the young man looks at her with a mischievous smile. He says he only wants to keep her, and the young woman turns all red from the young man's bold flirtation. She asks to rest a little because last night was very tiring for both of them. Our hero agrees but asks her to call him by a more affectionate name next time. Calling him darling, the girl receives permission to rest a little longer because of that. He then asks if she knows Su Wan, and the blonde says she is an artist at her company. The blonde then asks if the young man happens to like the redhead and looks at him seriously. He replies that he doesn't like her and that it was just a casual meeting and asks about her potential. The blonde says that the company doesn't pay attention to the redhead, but she has good conditions to grow. She says the company doesn't pay enough attention to her, and she has good conditions and development potential. Offering her help with the redhead, the young woman says she doesn't care about his other affairs. He comforts her by saying he will treat her well no matter what happens between them in the future. The young man confirms that he wants to sign with the redhead, but the blonde warns him about the contract breach penalty. He tells her not to worry about money and that he will leave the company for her to manage. Refusing the shares, the young woman says that at most she accepts a high salary to take care of the business. Calling her silly, the protagonist says there doesn't need to be so much distance between the two of them. The girl then approaches, caressing his face with her gloved hand delicately. With tears in her eyes, she says she feels the joy of liking someone and that her life was meaningless. Her cell phone starts ringing, but she ignores the call and continues hugging the young man. With a mischievous smile, he looks at her and waits for her to confirm the business meeting. The next day, he picks her up in his sports car, and the redhead greets him with a good afternoon. Asking where they are going, the young woman hears him reply that it's to the Bayou Hotel in Lujiazui. She asks if the drama he wants to film is a big investment, and he laughs at her question. Asking what kind of drama can be made with only 5 million, the young man loses interest. Explaining that it is a small production with a quick return, the redhead invites him to read the script. He says he only invests and doesn't need to read anything, leaving the girl surprised by his attitude. Our hero offers to transfer the money right away, but she says it's not necessary. He then imposes the condition that she work as an artist in his new talent company. Knowing that you don't compliment someone without reason, the redhead thinks about his ulterior motives. She asks if he has an entertainment company, and he replies that he will have one soon. He promises that the company will focus on her in the coming years and pay the contract penalty. The young woman asks if he has any special requirements, and he thinks she will refuse the proposal. Saying he won't ask for anything embarrassing unless it's with the head of the company, the young man reassures her. She accepts the offer right away and asks when she will sign and if she can call him boss. He suggests she call him brother, and she asks how old he is to be so bold. Questioning him about his age, the redhead hears him say he thought she was talking about something else. With a mischievous smile, he looks at her, and the young woman calls him a naughty and shameless boss. She then says that the meal is on her, and that she will dedicate herself to being a good investment. His system congratulates him on the mission and rewards him with shares in an investment company. He decides to call his parents to tell them the news and explain how he got rich so suddenly. His father praises him for his good eye for business, and he says the monthly profit is 600,000. Old man Jiang is proud, and his mother jokes that he was bragging about his son to his friends. Asking if they want gifts, the young man hears his father advise him not to be arrogant and to be patient. After the call, he invites the redhead for a trip to the mall because he didn't bring anything. Wiping her mouth, the young woman accepts the invitation to go shopping with her new boss. They arrive at a luxury watch store, and the redhead is shocked by the high prices. Suddenly, a woman with an older man approaches and greets him as Senior Lin Ru. This young woman asks if he also came to see the watches, and the redhead thinks it's too early to call him boss. Scanning the woman, the protagonist discovers that she has a strange status and low friendship level. He explains that he only came to accompany a friend to the store to look at the watches. He is shocked to see that the man has 77 people with similar interests to him. Explaining that the redhead was her servant in a drama, the young woman introduces the man as an investor. His name is Wang Hai, and he offers his card to the redhead in case she wants to make a movie. Thinking with disdain, the other actress believes the redhead can only choose watches for the boss and then go out with him. The redhead thinks about the harsh reality of the industry and how false friends only want to take advantage. Asking if he has any special goal, the young man hears him say he is just looking around. Informing him, the salesman says the most popular models are sold out and only available by order in the queue. Our hero then asks for women's watches starting from 500,000 and dismisses the cheaper ones. Shocked by his audacity, the couple sees the woman get annoyed by him calling the watch cheap. Pretending to read a magazine, the redhead is amused to see the arrogant actress being ridiculed. Suddenly, the system gives him a random mission to gift the redhead with a watch. Offering a watch to the young woman, the protagonist hears her refuse and say she will buy one with her own money. Another actress thinks they are putting on a show and that they are only looking at the watches but not buying. The salesman then brings some models, helping him try one on that shines on his wrist. Praising the appearance of the watch, the man sees the young man turn to the redhead to ask for her opinion. He comments that the watch is a little loose, and the young woman offers to tighten the strap. Turning all red from the young man's double entendre, the redhead feels provoked by him. She thinks he provoked her twice in half a day, and her friendship level rises to 70. The protagonist then tells the salesman to wrap up both watches, leaving everyone in the store shocked. He tells the store manager to wrap up both models so they can be taken. Shocked, the salesman asks if he is really going to take both watches from the display case. Also stunned, the other couple doubts that he is so extravagant and serious. Next, the protagonist asks the redhead for help choosing a watch as a gift for his mother. Praising her choice, the salesman says the watch has diamonds and is at a great price. The young man then asks the redhead to try on the watch so he can see how it looks on her wrist. He says that watch is better than the other cheaper one, and the actress gets irritated by the comment. With a smile, he tells the salesman to wrap up the 4 watches and hands over his card to pay. When the redhead goes to take off the watch, he stops her and says it's a gift for her to keep. Refusing, the young woman says it is too expensive and that she cannot accept such a valuable gift. He reassures her, saying it's just a little something, and that there's no way to return it because it's already paid for. Our hero says they will be colleagues soon and that the watch is a welcome gift. With a serious look, he asks if she is going to refuse the present and not give him that honor. Thinking it would be disrespectful to refuse, the redhead accepts the gift, thanking her rich boss. The salesman hands over the receipt of more than 4 million, and an employee gives him a special gift. Another actress is envious that the redhead has a better watch than hers, even though she is less famous. She asks about the free gifts, and the manager says she is not entitled to any and apologizes. Irritated that the mood has been ruined, the man leaves, leaving the actress behind. Feeling awkward, the young woman says they will talk about the watch another time. His system then congratulates him on the mission and rewards him with a cashback of up to 3 times. He tells the system to draw the prize and wins a triple reward of more than 13 million. He then asks what kind of bag she likes, but the redhead refuses the gift, embarrassed. Showing 2 popular models, the saleswoman hears him tell her to swipe the card without even thinking. With a side smile, the protagonist gestures for the saleswoman to swipe his credit card. Informing him that the purchase was 120,000, the young woman says he is now a member of the store. Impressed by the boss's power and willingness to spend so much money on her, the redhead looks on. Half an hour later, he drops her off at home, and she thanks him for the presents and invites him in. Joking about drinking water, the young man hears her say it can be anything he wants to drink. He declines the invitation, saying he needs to protect himself from girls who take advantage of drunk men. Our hero says goodbye, and the young woman watches him leave, laden with shopping bags. She thinks he is a good man, and her friendship level rises to 80 on the system's scale. Dreaming about the young man, the redhead thinks that if she works hard, she can go further with him. In the car, the protagonist smiles confidently and thinks that the big prize will be his sooner or later. Back at the hotel, the butler receives him, and he asks her to open the champagne while he swims. Thinking it is rare for a client to stay an entire week, the woman believes she needs to serve him well. In the pool, he asks if there are special and expensive dishes on the luxury hotel's menu. His butler says they offer various high-quality cuisines for guests. She mentions the yellow croaker and the white Albert truffle as the rarest specialties. Remembering that these dishes cost millions, the young man knows the discount card will be very useful. Getting out of the water, he asks the butler for a massage, and she approaches with a towel. Agreeing to the request, the woman says that if he wants the massage, it needs to be in the room. In the room, the butler begins the massage with essential oils on our protagonist's back. She gets on top of him and starts the massage in a very professional and relaxing way. She pours a little oil on her hand and prepares to start the hotel's special service. Surprised, the young man thinks it would only be a simple massage and not with oils. His butler tells him to close his eyes and enjoy the spay, which is a specialty of the place. Then she begins the massage with smooth and precise movements on our hero's back. Lying on his stomach, he relaxes completely while the woman continues with the massage. The butler then reveals that there is also a special service for the most VIP guests. She then offers the service, and the young man turns all red and wonders if he is overthinking things. Saying goodbye, the woman offers to pick him up for the auto show the next day. Our hero then realizes that there was no special service and that he only thought nonsense. The next day, he arrives at the event and sees several luxury cars and models posing for photos. His friend couldn't come, but the young man doesn't mind and finds the prices of the cars low. He finds the most expensive car at $2,200,000 very cheap and continues walking. Suddenly, he spots some classmates and wonders what they are doing there. He then sees his old colleague Joying posing as a car model and understands everything. Stunning in a red dress, the young woman draws the attention of all the photographers. One of the colleagues invites her out, but another reprimands him for bothering her at work. Hearing the conversation, the girl remains silent but seems a little uncomfortable with the situation. Finding it a coincidence to meet so many colleagues, the protagonist is recognized by one of them in the crowd. The protagonist asks if they are organizing some secret event without him knowing anything. Awkwardly, the colleague admits he didn't invite him on the graduation trip on purpose. Another young man points to the group leader and says that he needs to ask him directly. A girl approaches and comments on how much more handsome he has become since the last time they saw each other. His friend jokes that his voice has also improved and asks if he tuned his vocal cords. The young woman says they came to see the beautiful model and not to buy a car because they don't have the money. Scanning the girl, the young man is shocked to see that her privacy value is 30. He also scans the other friend and is surprised by her high friendship level. Our hero wonders why her friendship level is so high if they barely know each other. His friend asks what he is doing, and the protagonist just tells him to take care of himself. With a smile, he waves to the model and compliments her beauty, making her a little awkward. Asking if he came to the show, the young woman hears him say yes, and that it's good to take a look around. He then asks if the colleagues are planning to buy a car since they are around the goddess. Bragging about knowing the car, the group leader explains the specifications and the price. The green-haired young man praises him for knowing so much about cars and calls him the class monitor. Accusing him of being there to buy the car, the colleague watches our hero not respond to the provocation. Asking them to talk later, the model requests they not make noise at her workplace. Bragging about his score, the monitor says he will buy a car if she finds a suitable one. Saying she doesn't understand cars, the young woman suggests he ask the sales assistant. Interfering, the protagonist then asks if he buys the car, the model comes as a bonus. Laughing, the model says he is very funny, but the colleague tells him to stop showing off. Suddenly, the model's boss appears and reprimands her for talking during work. Apologizing, the young woman watches as the boss walks away, leaving a tense atmosphere between them. Accusing him of targeting him, the monitor asks which car he is going to buy after looking around so much. The young man says the car has an average price, but with the model next to it, it looks very elegant. Recognizing the expensive watch on his wrist, the boss offers a gift with the purchase of the car. With a side smile, he shows his credit card and says to pay the full amount. Shocked, the colleagues learn that the car costs more than $8 million with the configuration. The girl with pigtails wonders if he really can pay $8 million all at once. Accusing him of faking it, the monitor advises him not to make the model lose her job. The protagonist then asks if buying the car would harm the young woman in any way. Confirming, the boss says that if he buys the car, the commission from the sale will go to the model. With the news, her friendship level rises to 80, and she asks if he is taking the model along. Getting irritated, the colleague thinks he is provoking the girl and that he won't buy the car. Our hero then asks to pay the total amount and asks if the car is ready to take. The transaction is successfully concluded and the boss invites him to the VIP room to finalize. Congratulating him on the purchase, the boss asks the model to treat the new customer well. Shocked, the monitor sees that he actually spent $8 million on a luxury car. His friend comments that he never imagined he was a second-generation rich kid. The girl with glasses then says the car only has 2 seats and there won't be room for her. The girl with pigtails says she should sit in the passenger seat and that the model is working. Our hero is impressed with the girl and wonders why her friendship level increased. He then says the car only looks good when the model is sitting in it and stares at her. The colleague asks if he broke up with his ex because of the model, and he looks at her sideways. Surprised to learn that he broke up with his girlfriend, the model observes him with curiosity. The protagonist says the breakup has nothing to do with anyone, and that any man would like her. His friend is shocked to see the more than 1 million watch on the young man's wrist. Explaining, the young man says his family gifted it to him for doing well on the college exam. Grumbling that it's getting late, the monitor says they need to find a place for dinner. One of the girls invites him to have dinner with them and then go shopping at the mall. He declines the invitation, saying he has an engagement and that they will meet when he returns. The colleague asks him to get in touch when he returns to Chengdu, and he says goodbye. Our hero tells the model to go back to work and that he will look somewhere else. With a smile, he says there's no need for formalities and that they will arrange something another time. A saleswoman shows a pink car customized for female customers with various features. He thinks the car is perfect for Xiao and imagines kissing her inside it. Asking the price of the car, the young man hears the saleswoman say it costs 9.5 million. He tells her to swipe the card right away, and the saleswoman is all excited about the sale. The protagonist also asks for a car delivery ceremony, and she agrees without problems. He says it's a gift and asks her to deliver it as soon as possible to her address. A streamer is a live broadcast showing the pink car and inviting her followers to buy it. The young woman tries to convince the viewers that the car is a great gift for a girl. She then approaches our hero and invites him for a live interview about the car. An employee interrupts her and asks if she is there to buy or just look at the car. Saying she just wants to take a look, the streamer is then asked for a capital verification by the saleswoman. Complaining, the young woman says she saw the other young man enter without needing verification and feels unfairly treated. Unable to prove her income, the streamer feels awkward and the viewers mock her. Shocked, the model sees that he spent 20 million in less than half an hour. She thinks that even before her family's problems, she couldn't splurge money like that. 2 hours later, the young man stretches and says the car is already on its way to his beloved. Handing over the keys, the manager asks how he plans to apply for the license plate. Suddenly, the system appears and gives him a randomly drawn personalized license plate. With a side smile, the protagonist finds the system very thoughtful with the details. An employee approaches with the plate and says he will help him with the vehicle registration. Stunned, the manager sees that the license plate has the initials of the young man's name and is from Shanghai. Our hero says it is nothing special and that he just reserved the car in advance. Admiring him for his luck, the manager praises the license plate for its special and unique meaning. An employee then warns that the license plate installation has been completed and the car is ready. Impressed by his power, the manager thinks he is related to someone important. Now that the installation of the license plate is ready, the gleaming red car belongs to the protagonist. The model thanks him for his help and approaches to talk a little more with the young man. She invites him to dinner, but his cell phone begins to ring and he asks for a moment. With a side smile, he answers the call and waits for the person on the other end of the line to speak. It's his friend crying and asking for him to go meet him or he will jump into the river. Our hero is shocked by the news and the model looks at him, worried about the situation. He apologizes to the young woman and explains that his friend broke up with someone and needs help. Saying he is not sure, the young man explains he needs to go there to see what is happening. He then finds his friend in a bar, and the young man tells him to stop the nonsense and drink with him. Confiding in him, the colleague says he feels like a fool and that the girl treats him as a second option. He counts that the girl ignores him, but when the other guy went to the bathroom, she followed him. The protagonist asks him to get straight to the point, and the friend continues with his sad confession. The young man says he followed them and saw them kissing and hugging, and that is why he is heartbroken. Our hero consoles him, and the friend complains that he doesn't take his feelings seriously. Advising him, the protagonist tells him to let the girl go because she is not a good person. He explains that her private life is a mess and that he had tried to warn him. The friend then toasts with him and says his brain must have been squeezed by a door. An hour later, our hero puts him in a taxi, and the friend promises to return the favor. Alone on the street, the protagonist takes out his cell phone and calls a private driver to take him. Suddenly, a young woman tells him to move away from the car and says he cannot afford to damage it. Scanning the woman, the young man sees that she has a passerby status and low friendship with him. She apologizes, saying she is drunk and confuses him with her boyfriend because of the appearance. Complimenting his voice, the young woman says that he must be good at driving a supercar with one hand. She offers to play with him and says that she knows more than 10 ways to have fun. Our hero refuses the offer and says that he only plays King of Glory games and nothing more. Suddenly, the pink-haired streamer appears and reveals herself as the driver he called. She introduces herself, and the live viewers are surprised to see the handsome young man with her. The protagonist then says she needs to pay to take a picture of him, and looks at her. Apologizing, the young woman explains that she forgot to turn the camera the other way. She asks to take a picture of the car, and he agrees, unconcerned with the situation. Excited to see the car, the streamer tells her followers about the rare model. Viewers begin to speculate about the young man's identity and his powerful family. The other young woman offers to drive for free, but he refuses, afraid of getting carried away. He hands over the car keys and asks if she knows how to drive a real supercar. The streamer says she was a car blogger and has experience with sports models. She asks if she can do the live broadcast while driving, and he questions her about her behavior. Agreeing, the young man watches as the young woman prepares to drive the protagonist's luxury car. In the car, the streamer is nervous and tells her followers that she needs to concentrate on driving. Our hero sees her username and thinks she is an easy person because of the way she talks. He realizes that her popularity is good, but she doesn't receive many donations from fans. He sees her popularity and realizes that she has few donors and that the biggest donor gave 300 yuan. He calculates that her daily income is only 60 yuan and finds it very little for the effort. The young man says that with 10,000 viewers, she should earn more and that being a driver pays more. She explains that she is not good at asking for donations and that she only drives to show the traffic jams. The young woman then asks why the manager was so attentive to him and let him in without verification. Shocked to learn that he bought the car that same day, the streamer looks at him. The car accelerates, and live viewers thank the young man for showing the difference between them. Arriving at the hotel, she returns the keys, and he praises her for the smooth and comfortable driving. Thanking him for the compliment, the young woman, with a smile on her face, looks at him very suggestively. She asks what kind of live streams he likes to watch, and he replies that it's ones with beautiful women. Offering to receive a boost on the charts, the streamer looks at him with a pleading gaze. Our hero says he doesn't give donations and that he has an account that only watches for free. She then invites him in to drink a glass of water, and he understands her hint. Provoking her, the young man asks what kind of water she has in mind and makes her feel awkward. Turning all red, the streamer thinks that if it were a movie, things would be different. She is speechless and thinks about the two possibilities that could happen at that moment. He refuses the invitation and says the hotel water is not very clean but offers to buy her tea next time. The young woman calls him a jerk and thinks he is being hostile and playing hard to get. She says goodbye and leaves, and the young man notices that her friendship level increased suddenly. Back in the room, he receives a message from his wealthy friend asking to try the hotel's cuisine. The protagonist then asks the butler to prepare dinner for 5 people with the most expensive ingredients. His butler informs him that each fish costs 1 million yuan and asks if he accepts the price. He tells her to use common sense and thinks he doesn't want to look like a tacky nouveau riche. Half an hour later, his friends arrive and are impressed with the expensive dishes on the table. One of the friends comments that the 2 fish could buy a car. They are so extravagant. Explaining, the butler says the fish is one of the most expensive in the world and that they are of moderate size. She also mentions the white truffles and says the whole dinner cost more than 3 million. One of the guests is shocked to learn that with that money, she could buy a mansion. Our hero invites everyone to eat and they thank young Master Jiang for his hospitality. After dinner, they invite him to drink, but he refuses because he already drank with his friend. They then arrange a party for the following night and say goodbye to the host of the evening. His butler informs him that with the discount, the total was 2,098,000. The system congratulates him on using the card, and he receives a refund of 149 million. Shocked by the amount, the young man thinks the dinner was totally worth it in the end. Saying goodbye, the butler leaves, and he returns to his room to relax after dinner with his friends. Lying in bed, he opens the streamer's live stream and notices that she has a high attractiveness score. His system then gifts him 3 million shark fin coins to use on the live stream. He decides to change the name of his main account to Dinghai Shenzhen and make a donation. A new user donates a heart and asks if the streamer is not going out to look for news. Shocked, the young woman sees a level 65 account that she has never seen before. Seeing the high-level account, the streamer is surprised to have never seen it on the platform before. Welcoming the new follower, the streamer says she is not going out because of a mission. He scans the opponent and sees that she has a much lower attractiveness score. The young man finds it strange that the other streamer seems to have 90 with makeup, but only has 69. The opponent brags about being connected with her and says she will definitely move to the next round. Regretting her bad luck, the pink-haired streamer says she needs to win at least 2 rounds. She then greets the opponent and asks her donor to take it easy in the competition. Agreeing, the other young woman tells them to save their strength for the next round of the dispute. His system gives our hero the mission to help the streamer win the PK tournament. Offering to fulfill any request from her new big donor, the young woman asks for his help. He never thought of having a connection with her, but now that he is the #1 donor, everything can change. The streamer asks for donations from her followers, but they refuse to give money and mock her. Viewers complain about her attitude and threaten not to give the free flowers of the day. She defends herself, saying that her viewers are very talented with words and gets irritated. Our hero then decides to start the game and donates 5 weak chickens to the streamer. Thanking him for the donation, the young woman is shocked by the 1 yuan value from the donor. She wonders if she has some kind of anti-streamer sacred body for attracting stingy donors. The dispute begins, and the opponent takes the lead with 300 points against only 20 from the streamer. He then asks if she can be his private driver if he helps her win the war. Suddenly, 3 super rockets appear on the screen, and the streamer is shocked by the donation. She thanks the donor and asks what kind of performance he would like to see on the live stream. Surprised, the opponent sees that a big donor appeared on her rival's live stream. The other streamer invites him to her live stream and makes him a manager so he won't leave. Offering to sing a song for a new donor as a gift, the pink-haired young woman is excited. Our hero finds her voice silly and cute and tells her to do whatever she wants on the live stream. Crying, the opponent asks her donor for help to pass the first round of the tournament. The PK officially begins, and the other streamer thanks her donor for the gift sent. Finding the dispute interesting, the young man decides to post 3 more rockets to liven up the live stream. The streamer shouts to her donor that the other one is catching up, and he sends more gifts. She asks the fans to type that her donor is amazing, and several rockets appear on the screen. Our hero is amused by her innocence and wonders how she will deal with the next one. Suddenly, her live stream freezes and she panics as she sees the cell phone screen frozen. 20 rockets appear all at once, and the streamer is shocked by the massive donation. The opponent asks if her donor is still there, but he doesn't respond and remains silent. Calculating that the donation was 40,000 yuan, the young woman wonders if she won the round. The opponent brags about her luck and says she will dance for him when she is free. The number of live viewers exceeds 10,000, and the streamer is very happy. She thanks the donor and asks what he wants her to do to repay the support. Realizing the camera's beauty filter actually makes her less beautiful, the protagonist observes her. The streamer is afraid that the donor got scared by the beauty filter's failure. She turns off the filter and worries about the critics of the viewers. Viewers praise her beauty and say the boss made the right bet this time. Happy to gain new fans and positive reviews instead of being rejected, the streamer smiles. She implores for his help to win more one round and continue transmitting next month. Beginning the second round of the PK, she is connected with a streamer dressed as Sailor Moon. The opponent introduces herself and comments on the other streamer's list of big donors. She then offers to sing and dance for the donor and guarantees that he will be satisfied. As the two prepare for the battle, the opponent asks her donor not to let her be defeated. The other streamer's donor sends 5 planes, and she thanks him with several hearts on the screen. Our hero finds the donation petty and decides to throw 5 rockets to see the reaction. He then sends the 5 super rockets, and the streamer is shocked by the generous donation. She thanks the donor and sends a heart to the camera while the opponent stares at her. Confused, the other streamer asks about the flowery brother who appeared on the live stream. With the help of our hero, the pink-haired streamer advances to the final round of the tournament. In the finals, she connects with one of the top 3 streamers on the platform and gets nervous. Saying she has no talents, the opponent suggests they start the battle immediately. The streamer discovers that a big donor appeared to help her rival in the guild war. The other young woman then starts dancing for her followers to the sound of an animated song. The camera focuses on her body as she moves sensually in front of the microphone. 2 minutes later, the dance ends, and she sends a kiss to the camera for her fans. Finishing her dance, the streamer sends a kiss to the camera, thanking the viewers. Our hero praises the opponent's dance, and the viewers agree that she is talented. Getting jealous, the pink-haired streamer asks if he will abandon her in the final. Provoking her, the young man says he might consider it if she is talking about group sports. Shocked by the proposal, the 2 streamers see the pink-haired one stare at him speechless. She thinks it is not the time to have wild thoughts and that she needs to ask her donor for help. Imploring for his help, the young woman promises that she will do any dance he wants later. The opponent's donors begin to send several rockets, and the dispute becomes fierce. The streamer thanks one of the donors, and the other viewers are shocked by her audacity. She asks if the hundreds of fire bullets he sent were candles or just air. He thinks he still has 2 million to spend and that he will not lose the match no matter what. The live stream freezes again, and the streamer panics as she sees the screen frozen once more. More 20 super hot rounds appear, and the young woman realizes it's not a connection error. Several rockets are sent to the opponent's live stream, and the dispute between the donors begins. Thinking this is a fight between gods, the pink-haired streamer is just watching. She then thanks the donor's father for the medical expenses and calls him generous. The dispute ends, and the pink-haired streamer wins the final round of the PK tournament. Sighing in relief, the young woman thinks she finally managed to win the donation battle. She looks at the screen and sees that the rockets have stopped arriving, but her team hasn't stopped. Shocked, the streamer sees that she raised 1.5 million on her live stream all at once. The streamer cannot believe that in her entire life she managed to raise 1.5 million yuan. The opponent asks the donor not to stop and to continue sending more presents to her. One of the donors tells her to forget it and talk about it another time, and she gets confused. Our hero sends the last 2 shots as a declaration of victory, and the dispute ends. Celebrating the victory, the pink-haired streamer sees her popularity soar on the platform. She throws herself onto the bed with happiness and can't believe she managed to win the PK tournament. Thanking the donor, the young woman offers to learn whatever he wants to please him. She then asks to be his private driver, and he agrees to hire her for 2 days. Live viewers discover that the donor is the same young man from the auto show. Taking her spare cell phone to add his contact, the streamer is happy with the opportunity. She introduces herself, and he accepts the friend request, and her friendship level rises to 85. His system congratulates him on the victory and rewards him with a cashback of 2,030 million. Confirming the withdrawal, the young man sees the money deposited into his account right away without any problem. He thinks in how outrageous and easy it is to make money with the system and the help of chance. The next day, he wakes up to a message from the streamer offering to be his driver. With a side smile, he finds the girl a little hasty but does not reply to the message. Anxious for the response, the streamer wonders when he will reply to her message. Brushing his teeth, he responds that he needs a driver to go to a party at night. Getting super excited to see the response, the young woman celebrates getting the job. She decides to sleep a little to be in the best condition to serve her new boss. But the streamer is so excited that she cannot sleep and tosses and turns in bed anxiously. He complains that she arrived early, but the young woman says she couldn't let him drive alone. Saying the bar is famous, the streamer notes that several celebrities frequent the place. Girls at the door comment on the handsome young man and his expensive watch that calls attention. The women in line are enchanted by his beauty and think he is a wealthy man. Two girls approach and ask to add his contact and offer to go out. Another young woman appears and offers to show him the place and have fun with him that night. A girl dressed as a bunny loses her balance and falls into our protagonist's arms. She thanks him for the help, and he jokes about her energy even before entering the bar. Two women invite him to their private booth and tell him to go in first and have fun. Observing the scene from afar, the streamer is bothered by the attention he receives. Pushing the crowd, the young woman shouts for the girls to get out of the way and leave him alone. She feels a pang in her chest and realizes she is jealous of the young man with the others. The streamer then opens way in the crowd, yelling for everyone to get out of her way. She holds his hand tightly and pulls him away from the girls who were surrounding him. Surprised, the women ask why he didn't say he already had a girlfriend. Telling them to find another target, the streamer watches as our hero finds the whole situation boring. He hugs her from behind and asks if he really has a girlfriend, and she is surprised. Explaining, the young woman says she only helped him because he couldn't refuse the girl's offers. She thanks him but says she doesn't need his help anymore and that he can do what he wants. Suddenly, a young man recognizes him and asks if he didn't get scared of being surrounded. His friend laughs and asks who the beautiful young woman accompanying him that party night is. Explaining, the protagonist says she is his driver and that they can have fun together at night. Feeling awkward and silent, the streamer endures the young men looking at her with curiosity. They enter the bar and several girls in costume dance and have fun on the dance floor. One of the women calls him Jiang Xiao and invites him to join her at the party. Several girls approach and greet him, calling him by name and surrounding him at the entrance. He thanks them for the warm reception and says the arrangement is perfect for their night. His friend asks the manager to bring 2 sets of big dragons to liven up the party. Shocked to see the dragon, the streamer says she has never seen one up close before. His friend boasts about the generosity and says the dragons do not compare to the fish from dinner. He counts to the girls that the young man treated him with a rare fish and spent 3 million. Shocked to learn the price of the dinner, the women look at him with admiration and astonishment. Several waitresses dressed as bunnies arrive with bottles of wine to serve the 3 of them. They serve the expensive wine into the glasses, and the party starts to get even livelier. One of the girls introduces herself and offers to toast with him and play all night. Shocked by her score of 98, the young man finds her rare and excellent. They toast with the glasses, and the night of party and fun continues at the luxury bar. Observing the scene, the streamer feels the return of jealousy and a sense of being blocked. She gets angry that he is with another woman after spending so much money with her. Approaching, the streamer then offers to toast with him too and looks at him. He offers a drink to the streamer, and she looks at him with a confused and suspicious gaze. Saying she needs to drive, the young woman hears him insist and asks if she is okay to continue. She gets angry and says that if he can't see, she can get closer to look. Thinking that the main target of the night is the streamer, the young man knows the other one can wait. Saying goodbye, the other girl says she will dance a little but will return to toast with him. He provokes her and says it's difficult to see her like that, and that she should return for him to take a look. Remembering that on the live stream, girls must be reserved, the streamer tries to control herself. She gets angry and asks if he thinks she is a casual woman and moves away from him on the sofa. Our hero thinks she is playing hard to get and treats her like one of his followers. He then stands up, and the streamer is confused with the attitude of him and looks at him without understanding. Observing the dancers on the pole, the young man sees 2 of them approach to talk. One of them asks what he thought of the dance and approaches with a seductive smile. The other girl also offers herself, approaching him with a provocative and bold look. He praises the dance and says his brothers applaud the performance of the 2 dancers. One of the young women approaches and says she hasn't met his brother yet and hugs him. He offers to present them later, and the girl gets excited with the proposal. Also saying she really wants to meet his brother, the other dancer moves closer. Our hero says he prefers to stay home watching movies and that where there are women there is war. He sees himself in the middle of a storm and doesn't know for how long his rationality will last. Everyone toasts to the humor of the young master Jiang, and the party continues animated in the luxury bar. Friends toast and have fun together at the party while the girls approach the young man. One of the dancers approaches and offers to toast with the young master Jiang too. Another girl approaches and drinks a sip of wine while looking at him very seductively. She gets irritated that he stopped talking to people and that he closed himself off suddenly. The streamer says she is not casual but that if he really wants her to, she will consider the proposal. She thinks she came prepared to do something, but doesn't know how to say or act at the moment. Our hero realizes that her friendship level reached 90 points and that his plan worked. For the next 2 hours, he drinks and jokes with the two women, ignoring the streamer. He says goodbye to the girls and the friends and says he needs to go away for his engagement. A taxi driver stops in front of them and the young man opens the door for the two to get in. The young women get into the car and he says goodbye with a side smile and closes the door. He then gives a slap on the window and startles the girls who look at him without understanding anything. Paying the driver, the protagonist asks him to take the two young women safely home. The taxi drives away, and the girls scream out the window without understanding what happened there. The dancers call him young master and ask what he is doing on the street. Shocked, the blonde-haired girl is surprised to be put out of the car that way. He then calls the streamer and asks what she is waiting for to drive the car. Half an hour later, he arrives at his room and finds the streamer there waiting for him. She asks to pass the night there because it is very late to take a taxi home. Asking to streamer is looked at by the young man, surprised by her audacity. He questions her about her promise of not being a promiscuous woman and looks at her seriously. The streamer says she was just joking and he suggests she take a taxi home. She refuses to go away and approaches him with a determined and passionate look. Telling her there are many rooms in the hotel, the young man says she can choose one to spend the night. Asking if they can sleep together, the young woman hears him say he is not used to strangers. She wonders if he is being genuine or only pretending disinterest in front of her. Suddenly, she trips and falls on the floor and starts crying in a very dramatic way. The streamer asks if he hates her and why he doesn't want to sleep with her after everything. He thinks that having zero privacy has its disadvantages and that she doesn't understand men. He lifts her from the floor and comforts her, saying for her not to cry and to calm down a little. Our hero then kisses her intensely and the two surrender to the moment of passion. Half a minute later, she opens her mouth and the kiss continues with even more intensity. She declares herself to him and says that she really likes him a lot and holds his hand strongly. Remembering her dream of a Prince Charming, the streamer recalls wanting someone to save her in difficult moments. She says that she likes him for real and the young man hugs her with affection to comfort her. He then picks her up and says he won't expel her anymore and that she can sleep there. Lying down in the bed, the young woman looks at him with a passionate and desirous look. He then hugs her with affection and says that she can sleep there on that night of passion. Picking her up, the young man takes her to bed to spend the night together at the hotel. The streamer lies down in the bed and looks at him with a passionate and desirous look. The two then kiss with passion and the night begins to heat up between the couple. The bed is blessed by angels while the couple enjoys the night of love and affection. Entering the manager's office, the redhead asks permission to talk about an important subject. Inviting her to sit, the manager asks what she needs to help her at the company. The young woman asks if she knows the young man, and the manager says they met on a trip. The redhead then asks if he plans to hire her, and the blonde confirms the information. Surprised, the young woman asks if the manager is resigning from the talent company. The blonde says she will go to his company, and that she will rescind her contract to hire the redhead. Worrying about the new company, the redhead asks if she trusts the young man that much. The manager says she has 100% faith in him, and that they will be sisters in the new company. Confused by her confidence, the young woman wonders the reason for so much loyalty. An employee warns that the manager has a surprise, that she needs to go down to sign for it. Refusing the presents, the blonde says she doesn't want flowers nor necklaces from anyone now. Insisting, the employee says that it is a car and that it cannot be refused because it has already been paid. Shocked with the news, the two go down to see the unexpected present from the young man. With confetti and a celebration, the delivery of the car is made with all the pomp and circumstance. The saleswoman asks the manager to reveal the present, and everyone looks at her with expectation. The bright pink car appears, and the redhead is open-mouthed at the beauty of the vehicle. She gets envious of the luck of the manager and praises the beauty of the luxury pink car. People comment on her new boyfriend and wish to have one equal that gives cars of 10 million. The saleswoman hands over the keys of the pink car, and the blonde manager receives them with a smile. Asking who sent the car, the young woman hears the employee say that it was Mr. Jiang Cheng. Touched, the manager thinks that no man has treated her that way before. His system congratulates him and says that the inseparable account was unlocked with a new package. Laughing at the reward, the young man wonders who thought of a prize like that in the system. He thinks that the card allows playing with several people, and that the reward can double. Our hero then realizes that he needs to use the card cautiously because satisfaction is important. His system congratulates him on the new company and rewards him with more money and employees. He decides to invest 500 million in the new company to guarantee the 10% annual return. The protagonist then informs the investment details and the name of the new company to the system. The streamer wakes up and the young man asks if he woke her, but she says no and smiles. He thinks about using the new card on her and approaches to test the system's new ability. Our hero decides not to rush and that they can discover the rules next time. An hour later, the streamer asks him not to tip her on her live streams anymore, and he gets irritated. She explains that the platform keeps 70% of the donations and that it's a waste. Spitting out her coffee, the young woman is shocked by the young man's audacity and his lack of shame. She reprimands him for spending so much money on virtual gifts and says her heart hurts. Another woman is shocked to see how rich people spend money on virtual things. The streamer asks if she can continue doing live streams, and he holds her hand with affection. The young woman turns around and asks if she can continue doing live streams, and he holds her hand. He says he trusts her and that she can do any live streams she wants because she is not a streamer with a bad reputation. The young woman then decides to do live streams focused on food and unusual things to see how she fares. Encouraging her, the young man tells her to let him know if any big streamer intimidates her again. He asks the manager if his room rate is expiring, and she confirms that it is until tomorrow. Surprised by the request to extend the stay, the manager questions him about his trip. The streamer alerts him about the high cost of the daily rate and says he can reserve when he needs to. Our hero says that if he were her boss, he wouldn't be happy with the manager's attitude. The woman says that spending almost $5 million on room fees for 2 months is a waste. The streamer wonders why the manager is being so attentive to the young man and is suspicious. Scanning her, the protagonist discovers that she has a status of proximity and high friendship. He is shocked to see that her appearance is 90, her privacy is 0, and her friendship level is 80. The manager wonders if she was too direct with Mr. Jiang, noticing his strange look. She remembers that he already has 2 other women, a blonde and a pink-haired one. Even knowing about the others, the woman becomes more interested in him with each passing day. With that, she dismisses the cleaning lady, saying she can take care of everything in the room herself. In her thoughts, the manager says she is willing to do even more for him. The young woman even questions what she would do if the young man had made demands of her. Meanwhile, our hero finds the manager's thoughts about him interesting, but he tells her to just open the room because his schedule is unpredictable and he does not like problems. The manager agrees and says she will process his request immediately. Leaving there, her colleague asks Yuyan why she seems so worried about the guest. The manager replies that her guests are very easy to please while fixing her hair. Her friend complains that she is out of luck and will probably be at the bottom of the ranking this month. The colleague then vents that everyone in the department is jealous of her for having big clients. Yuyan tries to cheer her up, telling her not to get discouraged because she might get a big order. She thanks her for the words and invites her friend to go together to the dorm to rest. But the manager tells her to go ahead because she needs to see the general manager about something. The colleague is shocked to learn that the client wants to extend his stay for 2 whole months. Her friend calculates that her commission will be 240,000 and that he does not need a discount. Yan explains that she would feel bad if she did not give a discount since he would not stay forever. The other young woman approaches and asks if this mysterious guest is handsome and has a good physique. Seeing that the manager turned all red, her friend realizes that the young man is rich and very handsome. Then the colleague proposes that she serve the guest in her place and Yu Yan would keep all the commission. The manager scolds her, telling her not to get her hopes up because he can have anyone he wants. Even so, she keeps imagining what Mr. Jiang would think of her in that whole situation. With that, Yu Yan says goodbye to her friend, saying she really needs to speak with the general manager. Arriving there, the boss is euphoric and says that such a client deserves a personal thank you from the CEO. 10 minutes later, our hero finds it strange that only 3.8 million was deducted from his account. At that moment, the system warns that he used the cashback card and won 380 million. Right after, someone knocks on the door, and he sees 3 people through the peephole waiting for him. The man introduces himself as the CEO and thanks him for the renewal, giving him his business card. The CEO informs him that as a benefit, he will have a 20% discount on all future stays. Our hero realizes that the manager's good intentions cost him 100 million in return. He reflects that she preferred to earn less to help him and thinks that the manager is a good woman. The CEO praises her honesty and the protagonist agrees to become friends. With that, the boss orders her to serve his new friend very well, and the young woman readily agrees. Then the men say goodbye, wishing the young man a pleasant stay at the hotel. The young man thanks the manager for the discount while she observes him with a flushed face. Suddenly, the pink-haired streamer jumps into his arms, saying she does not want to go home. The young man explains that he has things to do, but that she can stay there alone if she wants. The girl complains that it is no fun without him and says she would cancel her plans for him. He then promises to get in touch when he is done, and the pink-haired young woman agrees. 1 hour later, our hero meets the blonde young woman who greets him from afar. Thanking him, the young woman approaches and gives him an affectionate kiss on the cheek. Unexpectedly, a red-haired man appears, shouting and aggressively insulting the blonde. Next, the guy threatens to jump into the river if she does not marry him immediately. Our protagonist then asks Xiaoxiao if she had not resolved this situation. She explains that the guy bothers her at the company and she did not want to worry him with it. The reedhead does not like the conversation and accuses the two of betraying him together. The blonde asks the young man to ignore him because he is just talking nonsense. Irritated, the man threatens to expose everything and jump into the river if they try to leave. Angrily, the guy grabs the young woman's arm tightly, leaving her scared. Shen Yuan does not waste time and intervenes, pushing the aggressor away from the young woman. He then grabs the man by the collar, saying he is going to give him a little help. The protagonist calls the security guards and offers them 5 million to pretend to stop the guy. His plan is to let the man accidentally fall into the river and be slow to the rescue. The redhead is shocked and questions if he is trying to hire a professional eliminator in public. The security guards are also hesitant and think the young man must be joking. He offers to pay up front and hire the best lawyers to defend them. Tempted by the money, the guards think that 10 million is well worth the risk. Seeing the situation, the man gets scared and remembers that what they are planning is a crime. The protagonist tells the redhead to hurry up and jump into the river to finish the job. With a smile, he says the guy will fade away in the river, and the redhead doubts he has the courage. Then he offers 100,000 to each of the guards to teach the guy a lesson and makes the transfer on the spot. One of the guards confirms the deposit and everyone is shocked that the young man was not lying. With that, the security guards step forward and start giving the guy a harsh lesson without a second thought. While the aggressor gets beat up, our hero and the blonde young woman just watch the scene. The blonde asks him to let it go because it is not worth bothering with that kind of people, but he reassures her, telling her not to worry because he will handle everything for her. Minutes later, the security guards say that everything has been arranged and they will not cause problems. He asks her not to hide anything else and says he will take care of the redhead, and the young woman agrees. The system then rewards him with a private security company to help him with everything. The blonde young woman asks if he is still going out after that whole stressful incident. He says not to let trash ruin business, and they get into the sports car. Shortly after, the two arrive at the grand and imposing Shanghai World Financial Center. He finds the place perfect for an entertainment company with stylish decor. The blonde says that with a few changes, she can start working while he relaxes. With a playful smile, he invites her to sit on his lap for a bit to talk. The woman then turns and locks the office door while he watches her closely. Next, she approaches and kneels in front of the young man with a very alluring look. The scene cuts, but it is clear that the two enjoyed their moment in the office. He asks what she meant by sit for a bit, and the young woman gets embarrassed. The blonde says she will ignore him if he keeps laughing at her face in that situation. She then asks if she should sit on his lap for them to continue the conversation. The young man replies that she can do whatever she wants as long as it makes her happy and satisfied. With that, he puts his hand on the young woman's waist and pulls her closer to him on the chair. The two give in to their feelings and enjoy the moment together in that luxurious office. Back at the hotel, the manager welcomes him and asks if he wants to have dinner or take a shower. He says they should eat first, and the young woman is surprised but is already thinking about the shower and the massage. The protagonist then explains that they will wash up after finishing the meal together. Already wearing a special outfit, the manager plans to use tricks she learned for the special service. The manager then serves the meal to our hero with a smile on her face. He thinks she arrived at a bad time, and that maybe next time something will happen between them. The next day, the protagonist goes to a car show meeting his rich friends. Another young man arrives with a stunning model and greets everyone at the event. One of the friends praises the Ferrari models, saying they are movie star level. He recognizes Jo Ying, his colleague from the plane, and notices she seems quite unhappy there. She asks a man not to take pictures like that because she feels uncomfortable. The guy provokes her, saying that if she does not want pictures, she should not dress that way. Seeing the scene, our hero gets irritated with the man's attitude and decides to intervene. Without thinking twice, he kicks the photographer's cell phone away from her. The aggressor complains that his photo was the culmination of days of hard work. The young man says his foot slipped and that he will pay for the man's broken cell phone. Angrily, the guy gets up and tries to land a punch on our protagonist's face, but the young man easily dodges the blow and prepares to strike back at the aggressor. He defends himself by saying he acted in self-defense according to the country's law. With a single precise punch, he knocks the creep to the ground in front of everyone. The aggressor lies on the ground while the protagonist watches him with an air of victory. He asks the local manager to call the police and save the camera footage. The manager apologizes for what happened and sends for security and the police. His friends praise his skill and the incredible punch he just threw. One of them feels offended, saying they are decent people and not creeps. The young woman approaches worriedly and thanks him for defending her from the aggressor. The friend comments that now he understands why he was so furious. It was because of her. The protagonist then introduces her as his schoolmate Jo Ying. Next, he introduces his friends to the young woman, and everyone greets each other. The young woman asks if he came to the event to look at cars again like last time. He explains that it is the last day and he might pick a car to give as a gift to his father. The young woman then invites him to go out when she returns to Chengdu, and he agrees to the idea. One of the friends asks if young Master Jiang is eyeing a 4-door supercar. The salesman explains the car's specifications, and the protagonist asks to get straight to the price. The salesman informs him that the model costs 2.2 million, and he asks about delivery. With that, the boss guarantees that the dealership offers nationwide delivery and registration. Satisfied with the answer, our hero hands over his credit card to close the deal. He asks the salesman to prepare a delivery ceremony to surprise his father. A friend jokes that calling a 4-door supercar discreet is an exaggeration. The colleague reflects that the young man has already bought 4 cars in a week, and that is extravagant. Another friend admits feeling jealous because the protagonist is gifting his own father. After everything, he calls Zhou Ying to leave and thinks she is the prettiest girl. Already in the car, the young man asks if she will return to school since summer vacation is over. The young woman explains that with her family's bankruptcy, she is working to make a living. She does not care about gossip and says that earning her own money feels much more real. He says a pretty woman like her will have no trouble making money, and she laughs. The young man finds her very down to earth, and she thanks him for helping her twice. Without making a big deal out of it, he accelerates the car, and the two head to dinner with friends. They arrive at a beautiful country house where the rest of the group is already waiting for them. One of the friends welcomes them and invites young Master Jiang and his beautiful colleague to sit. From afar, one of the guys gets irritated seeing a guy who should not have been invited there. The friend explains that this Wang Shuang has a feud with another colleague in their group. One of the friends approaches and provokes the blonde guy, calling him by a nickname he hates. Wang Qiang's colleague asks him to calm down because they are there to make friends. Everyone sits at the table, and one of the guys praises the food and the perfect weather of the place. Half an hour later, the blonde guy brags about getting a stock tip with guaranteed profit. A guy begs for his help, and Wang Qiang gives an arrogant speech about connections. Our hero's friend notices that the guy was being subtly sarcastic with them. With that, the colleague calls him by the nickname and collects a debt of 2 million from years ago. Irritated, the young man confronts him, saying he was being polite and that he is not special. Our protagonist then intervenes and asks his friend not to let this ruin the mood. But the blonde guy gets furious and throws his drink in our hero's direction with a lot of anger. The drink ends up hitting Zhou Ying's blouse, and she gets all soaked and surprised. Seeing the scene, the protagonist gets a furious look and hugs the young woman, all worried. Our hero's friend stands up irritated and asks what Wang Qiang is trying to do. Another colleague questions if the blonde guy came there just to act crazy and start a fight. A guy realizes that the others are protecting Jian and decides he needs to switch sides. So this young man turns and asks Wang Qiang not to cause problems at their gathering. But the blonde guy gets irritated and hits the table, saying he will not put up with a hick from Chengdu. Our protagonist stands up and demands that the guy apologize for dirtying her clothes. The young woman says it is okay and that he does not need to worry about that situation. Shen Yuan insists on the apology, but the aggressor refuses and calls him trash. Out of patience, our hero slaps the blonde guy hard across the face, and he does not see the blow coming. The impact is so strong that the guy's face gets completely twisted from the hit. Irritated, the young man asks if he really thinks he is made of clay to put up with everything. Shocked, the blonde guy puts his hand on his face and cannot believe he dared to hit him. The protagonist then suggests he look for a neurologist and even offers to pay. Very angry, the aggressor grabs a chair to attack, and a friend yells for him to be careful. But our hero dodges and kicks the guy in the face, knocking him to the ground again. One of the friends then tells the blonde guy to leave because he caused all the trouble. Supported by a girl, the aggressor threatens the protagonist, saying he will regret it. The friend explains that the guy's family is in the food industry, and that is why he is arrogant. With a determined look, our hero says he will see what they are capable of. The young woman asks if he is okay, and the young man says it was nothing and decides to take her away. He then says goodbye to his friends, saying they have had enough to drink and are leaving. The friends apologize for what happened, and our hero tells them not to worry about it. Outside, he hands the car keys to the young woman, and she says she knows how to drive. He jokes about her being a famous heiress, and the young woman assures him she will get him there safely. In the car, she comments that it has been a while since she drove a supercar and wanted to speed up more. Surprised, he says he did not know she liked racing, and the young woman accelerates the car. She explains that her family was very strict, and that is why she never had the chance to race. He then promises to take her racing the next opportunity they have together. Already in front of her house, the young woman thanks him and says she will always remember his help. With a flushed face, she says it is getting late and she needs to go get some rest. He wonders why she ran off so suddenly and if she felt embarrassed. Shaking his head, he decides to focus on business and forget about it for now. The young man remembers the security team the system gave him and decides to test them now. The next day in bed, he sees that Wang Qiang's food safety issue has become news. His friend calls and asks if he saw the scandal regarding the family's cabbages and bamboo shoots. Our hero says he is watching and that the rotten raw material problem was also exposed. The colleague says that suppliers are pulling the products and their reputation has crumbled. Then the friend remembers what the young man said and is shocked by his ability to foresee. He comments that he did not expect our hero to have so much influence to cause all this. The other young man says he knew from the beginning that he was no ordinary person. At the Wang's house, the blonde guy's father is on the phone trying to handle the crisis in his company. Irritated, the man wonders who is setting him and his family up like that. The son then appears and asks his father what is happening with their company. The father ignores the question and asks about his son's bruised face and who he fought with. The young man says he got beat up by an arrogant hick and is thinking about how to get even. The father scolds him for only causing problems and accuses him of being just some thug. Angrily, the man slaps his son on the head, who does not understand his reaction. Seeing the connection between the facts, the father becomes desperate and gets a look of pure panic. He then demands that his son tell him everything that happened the night before. After hearing the story, the blonde guy's mother appears and tells him to solve the problem right away. The young man refuses to apologize, saying it would be a disgrace and he will not do it. The mother scolds him for his attitude and glares at him with a serious and disapproving look. She calls him crazy and says he can solve the problem by spending a little money. But the father explains that if she had divorced him earlier, she would have gotten 500 million. The man threatens to divorce if the problem is not solved because he is sick of both of them. Desperate, the blonde guy asks his mother what he should do since he hardly knows the young man. The mother tells him to beg for forgiveness because if his father divorces, she will be left with nothing. Meanwhile, our hero receives the news that the Wang family will take a 400 million loss. The manager then approaches and offers vegetable and pork porridge for him to eat. He praises the food and teasingly asks if she was the one who changed him into his pajamas. Watching from afar, the manager thinks he brought another beautiful woman and that she needs to hurry. Then the young woman offers hangover soup to the young man who seems to have drunk too much that night. Seeing the young man's flushed face, she asks if he is already sleeping right there on the couch. She thinks he cannot sleep there, so she decides to help him get to bed to rest. Smelling alcohol on his clothes, she decides to help him change for bed. At that moment, the woman decides to practice the knowledge she learned watching a romantic movie. The young woman then takes advantage of the fact that he is sleeping to put her bold plans into practice. The manager replies yes and that she only helped him change clothes, but did nothing else. He teases her, saying he had a dream about her, and what a shame it was just a dream. The woman offers a massage with a new technique she learned, and he accepts right away. With a seductive look, the manager then invites him to the bed for the massage. He agrees, saying it is natural and she can start the service whenever she wants. Already on the bed, she starts the massage but wonders if she is being too formal. The young man is shocked to see the bold undergarment the manager is wearing underneath. He cannot believe the manager trusts him so much and tries to calm down so he does not do anything. Fortunately, his willpower is strong enough and he manages to calm himself. With a smile on her face, the manager then asks how Mr. Jiang is feeling. He thinks it was very fun and that the manager's massage was super professional. The woman then lets him know she is going to change positions to continue his massage. At that, she gets into an even more provocative position, and he is left speechless on the bed. Seeing his reaction, the manager gets a little awkward and does not know what to say. He then says the situation looks a lot like the dream he had last night. With a flushed face, the manager asks if he would be willing to be with her for real. He replies that of course and that the decision is hers, and the two lean in for a kiss. They kiss intensely, and she calls him mean for teasing her so much. The mood heats up between the two, and the romantic night finally begins in the hotel room. Meanwhile, the blonde guy is in a hotel with a girl, asking for a luxury room. In his thoughts, the blonde guy complains that he is bored and that he is not going to apologize. The receptionist tries to swipe the young man's credit card, but the transaction is not approved. With a bit of embarrassment, the employee informs him that his card cannot be used. Irritated, the blonde guy asks if the card machine is broken and tells her to try again. The receptionist informs him that the card limit is insufficient, and he is shocked by the news. The young man thinks he is broke and that his father must be messing with him. Penniless, he asks his companion to pay for the room and promises to transfer the money later. The girl gets irritated, calls him trash for trying to pass as rich, and abandons him there. Not knowing what to do, the blonde guy stands in the middle of the hotel lobby feeling completely awkward. The receptionist then asks if he still needs to check into the hotel room. He wonders who is going to take care of him now and asks if the young woman wants to go upstairs with him. Furious, the young man calls his father and demands he reactivate his card, but his father tells him to figure it out. Seeing that his father is serious, he decides to look for his friends to ask for help. Alone and broke, the blonde guy leaves the hotel with his cell phone in hand, trying to call someone. With a fake smile, he greets his friends over the phone and asks what they are doing. He then asks for help to meet up with our hero, but the friend scolds him for the audacity. Desperate, the blonde guy admits mistakes and begs for help, saying he has no other choice. The friend is surprised by the apology, and the blonde guy begs him to contact Jiang Cheng. The colleague agrees to ask but guarantees nothing, and the young man is very grateful for the help. The other friend questions if he is really going to help the blonde guy after everything that happened. Laughing, the friend says that even if the protagonist forgives him, the Wang family is already ruined. He calls our hero and invites him to a nightclub, saying someone wants to make amends. Relaxing in the bathtub, the young man receives the message and confirms his presence at the party tonight. Arriving at the nightclub, he is greeted by friends who welcome him as brother-in-law. The young woman gets embarrassed, but thinks she does not need to explain anything because she doubts she will see them again. The nightclub manager asks what the plan is, and one of the friends says to check with the main guy. With a smile, our hero orders 3 giant dragons, some drinks, and fruit for the party. The manager then asks if he needs a crew to liven up the party atmosphere. The friend scolds him, saying he brought his wife and does not need entertainers. Awkwardly, the manager apologizes and says he will arrange everything for them immediately. The young woman smiles at the situation and seems to enjoy herself with our protagonist's friends. Shortly after, 3 waitresses dressed as bunnies bring the drinks to their table. The young woman whispers in his ear that she knows the wine but cannot drink because she is driving. With a smile, he says girls should not drink too much and that he will take a few bottles home. The young woman thinks he is different for not pressuring her to drink, and her friendship for him increases. Suddenly, the blonde guy from the previous night appears, and the young woman asks why he is there. Our hero reassures her, telling her not to worry because she will find out soon. Then the young man bows and begs for forgiveness, saying he was drunk and spoke without thinking. The protagonist questions him and asks if he is the person he should be apologizing to the most. He tells the blonde guy to think carefully, and the young man gets confused, not understanding the situation. Shen Yuan then demands he apologize to the young woman for dirtying her clothes. The young woman says it is okay and that he does not need to worry about that, but she realizes he cares about her feelings, and her friendship for him grows more. The aggressor begs for both of them to be generous and hold no more grudges against him. Our hero provokes him by recalling his arrogance, and the young man says he can break whatever he wants. Then the protagonist proposes he drink 3 bottles and then put on a performance. The blonde guy is shocked because he never imagined the would humiliate him that way. With a serious look, our hero then asks the young man what he has to say about it. To get his card back, the aggressor agrees to show his special skill for everyone. With that, the young man grabs a bottle and smashes it hard against his own head in the nightclub. He continues to hit himself with the bottle, and everyone at the party watches the bizarre scene. The aggressor hits himself again and again, showing he is not messing around. Stumbling, the blonde guy falls to the ground, surrounded by broken glass and completely dazed. Our protagonist ironically thanks him for the show, saying it was something to remember. The friends comment that the performance was incredible and they did not expect such cruelty. Lying on the ground, the young man thinks he managed to overcome that obstacle and is now free. He tells the manager to call an ambulance but not to let him leave and to clean up the mess. The young woman worries about the police, but he calms her down, saying nothing will come of it. With a toast, he thanks everyone for coming, and the party at the nightclub continues. One of the bunnies thinks he is handsome but at the same time scary and dangerous. A friend reflects that our hero's power is much greater than anyone imagined. Outside, the young woman suggests that next time they meet alone, just the two of them. She then says that even knowing he wanted the guy to apologize, she felt awkward. He promises he will not let any strangers bother them anymore when they go out together. Saying goodbye, he says he does not mind that and tells her to go inside and rest. In the car, he orders his team to stop the attacks on the Wong family and asks about Jung Yu. The security guard informs him that the guy is gathering information to take him to court. Meanwhile, a man in a suit accompanies the redhead who seems to be in trouble. The security team also reveals that he continues to harass the blonde young woman daily. Irritated, our hero orders a trap to be set to get him out of the country by the next day. Arriving home, the manager welcomes him with a "welcome home" and a very suggestive look. He hugs her and jokes about how formal she is being after such a short time. The young woman asks him not to be like that because someone might see them, but he reminds her of the morning. She insists they are outside and he suggests they go inside quickly so no one sees. Already on the couch, he says they have already tried the bed and now it is the couch's turn. The two then give in to their feelings once again and enjoy the moment on the living room couch. Later in a bar, the redhead orders a drink called Blue Demon from the bartender. He reflects that the bar is a meeting point and that 9 out of 10 guys there are looking for a partner. The young man receives a voice message from someone breaking up with him and saying they have a new husband. The bartender hands the drink to the man who seems quite shaken by the message. The redhead approaches and tries to console him, saying not to worry because there are plenty of fish in the sea. Taking a sip of his drink, the young man wonders how there could ever be true love for him. The redhead insists there is and introduces himself as Jung Yu, asking what he can call him. Then the man introduces himself as Lin Min Hang and offers to buy him a drink. He offers to listen to his story, and the young man hugs him, looking very needy. An hour and a half later, he thanks him for the conversation and says he has a flight to catch. The guy explains he was going to Thailand with his partner but now is going alone as a farewell. He then says goodbye, saying maybe destiny will bring them together again in the future. The redhead regrets being so considerate and forgetting to get his contact info. Determined, he buys a ticket for the same flight so he does not let the handsome guy get away. He then plans a chance encounter on the plane and prepares for the next day. The next afternoon at the airport in Thailand, our hero is greeted by his team. The team captain introduces himself and the system shows he has absolute loyalty. He asks where Jung Yu is and the captain says he will take him to the hotel where he is. Arriving there, the young man sees the redhead tied to a chair with his team around him. The team introduces themselves, and our hero tells one of the guards to wake the guy up. With a bucket of cold water, one of the men wakes the redhead who is unconscious. The tied-up young man provokes one of the guards and says he liked the bold game. Shen Yuan questions him about why he is still harassing the blonde young woman. The guy is shocked to see him there and asks what he wants and how he found him. Without saying a word, our hero kicks him hard, knocking him to the floor with the chair. He steps on the redhead's chest and reminds him of his promise to silence him for good. Desperate, the man begs him not to do anything and says what he is planning is against the law. The protagonist says accidental passings are common in Thailand. Terrified, the guy promises never to bother the blonde young woman again and begs for his life. The young man then orders his team to confiscate everything of value from the man and leave him with nothing. He threatens him, saying that if he manages to get back from Thailand, it will be a miracle. The team strips all of the redhead's clothes off and leaves him in just his underwear in the middle of the room. With the situation resolved, he decides to go to the Hengqin company to handle business. Arriving there, he is welcomed by Mario, one of the main shareholders of the large company. They greet each other, and the man invites him to talk inside the company. Mario hands over the share transfer contract and our hero signs without hesitation. The system shows that Mario has a friendship value of 110 and total loyalty. Knowing he can trust him, our protagonist signs the document with peace of mind. The man invites him to experience the local culture, but he refuses because he has other plans. Mario says goodbye and tells him to feel at home and call if he needs anything. Being his first time in Thailand, he asks the captain to take him for a tour. They get in the car and head to the night market to see the city. At the market, our hero tries the local food while his team accompanies him. Suddenly, a little girl is almost kidnapped and screams for her mother in the middle of the crowd. With a signal of his eyes, our protagonist orders his captain to save the girl. The captain acts fast and lands a punch on the kidnapper's face, knocking him to the ground. He then picks the child up and protects her from danger while the criminal is down. Our hero approaches the little girl and asks her name and where her parents are. The girl says her name is Anne and that she ran away from her mother to try a local dish. He thinks the little girl is quite mischievous, but is moved by the delicate situation. The young man then asks if she remembers her mother's phone number, and she says yes. He hands his cell phone to the girl and asks her to call her mother immediately. 10 minutes later, Anne's mother appears and is very grateful for the help with her daughter. The woman scolds the girl for running away, and the little girl promises not to do it anymore. With tears in her eyes, the mother hugs her daughter and says she will not yell at her anymore. The woman introduces herself, and our hero warns her to keep an eye on the child because she will not always be lucky. She agrees and thanks him for the reminder, promising to be more careful next time. Little Anne defends her mother, saying she was the one who was naughty and does not want him to scold her. With a smile, he pets the girl's head and tells her to obey her mother. The woman says she has already called her bodyguards and invites him to a thank-you dinner. He declines the invitation, saying he will return home the next day and that he is from the same city. Surprised by the coincidence, she agrees to go out with him, and they exchange contacts. The system shows that she is 26 years old and has a friendship value of 70. He is shocked to see that her privacy is 0 and says goodbye with his team. The bodyguard asks if she needs him to investigate the young man, but she says it is not necessary. She thinks he is no ordinary person and that it is better not to investigate others. The next night at home, his parents welcome him and ask what he bought as gifts. He hands an expensive watch to his father, who calls him a show-off for having a little money. To his mother, he hands a luxury bag, and she is delighted with her son's gift. She praises her son's good taste, saying he knows how to choose better gifts than his father. The father brags, saying the taste was inherited from him, and asks how much the watch cost. The young man lies about the price so as not to scare them, but thinks the watch cost over 1 million. The mother advises him to save money and tries to set up a date for him, but he refuses. Seeing their grown and generous son, the parents are moved and feel proud of the young man. The mother jokes with her husband, saying he ruined the mood and that their son did not inherit that. In Taiko Lee, people comment on a pretty girl and wonder if she is a new star. Suddenly, our hero hears someone asking Jo Ying to be their girlfriend and is surprised. A young man kneels and declares himself to Jo Ying, saying he has loved her since school. People comment that it is an expensive necklace and that only the rich manage to date pretty girls. She asks him to get up and says she only sees him as a friend, but he insists on the proposal. Irritated, the young woman says that if he continues with that, she will leave right then and there. Confident, the guy says he has a plan B and that she is very smart for knowing that. He snaps his fingers and calls for his secret plan to impress the girl. A group of people appears with signs and starts shouting for her to accept the proposal. The system then gives our hero the mission to help Jo Ying get out of that mess. Thinking about the card's return, he decides to act and help the young woman while the crowd yells. Seeing that the young woman says nothing, our protagonist decides it is time to step in. He approaches with wildflowers and asks if she prefers his and to be his girlfriend. The people are shocked and comment that he has no ring or necklace and that the flowers are wilted. The suitor provokes him, saying he has no money and should go home and dream. Everyone agrees that between a rich guy and a poor guy, the choice is obvious to anyone. The guy insists and asks the young woman not to resist, promising to buy a diamond ring. She thanks him but says she prefers our protagonist's flowers and accepts them with a smile. The suitor is shocked and does not understand what is happening there at that moment. Our hero says he picked the flowers nearby and chose the colors especially for her. The guy insists he just wants to spice things up, and the young woman thanks him but rejects him. The protagonist advises him to be a man and accept rejection because there are many others out there. Irritated, the suitor tells him to stop causing problems because he cannot give her happiness. The young man then questions her monthly expenses and doubts he can afford everything. He offers a 50,000 monthly allowance, saying he can cover all her expenses. The guy throws it in the protagonist's face that he cannot give her luxury cars or roses. Our hero asks if she likes the things he mentioned, and she says it depends on who gives them. With a smile, she says that if it were him giving the gifts, she would definitely like it a lot. The suitor offers 100,000 for him to leave and accuses him of thinking he is in a drama. He laughs and brags about his expensive car while our hero just watches him with a smile. Suddenly, a saleswoman appears and hands over a belt that our protagonist forgot. Casually, he asks the young woman to put the shopping bag in his luxury car. Everyone is shocked to see the Porsche 918 and realizes that both are rich. Our hero provokes the suitor, asking if his car is cool, and he agrees. Humiliated, the guy feels like a clown while the protagonist and the young woman walk away. At a cafe, she explains that the young man is the son of a friend of her mother's and she never liked him. The young woman thanks him for being so playful, just like in their school days. Surprised, he wonders if the goddess really paid attention to him back then. She says her family was strict and she felt like an invisible person at school. He praises her, saying that even just by breathing, she was the person with the most presence. The young woman says she did not feel popular because hardly anyone flirted with her back then. Curious, she leans closer and asks what his deal was during their school days. He says he went to school to study, but she questions him about his ex-girlfriend. Awkwardly, he explains that they talked online and have already broken up. The young woman says that if she could go back in time, she would have liked to have fun with them. He realizes that her friendship is growing but slowly because she is hard to win over. The system then offers a mission to buy a gift for her with discount cards. With the system's help, our hero knows exactly what to do to impress her. He invites her to take a walk in a store and holds her hand with a smile on his face. With a flushed face, she thinks about him holding her hand, and her heart races. At a jewelry store, the saleswoman welcomes them, and he asks to see the item from the poster. The saleswoman praises his good taste and shows a necklace from the Panthery collection. He then turns to the young woman and asks if she likes the necklace, and she is surprised. The young man reminds her of her promise to like any gift he gave her. She says their relationship has not advanced to the point of giving such expensive gifts. The young woman puts on the necklace and he praises her, saying it suits her and is very pretty. Our protagonist then tells the saleswoman to wrap all the jewelry in the display case. With a simple "so what?" he intimidates the saleswoman, who agrees to wrap everything right away. The other saleswoman gets jealous and comments that he seems happy to pay for everything. The system notifies that he used a multiplier card and won 50 million back. He thinks the trip was worth it because he bought a gift and even made money. Back home, he asks what floor she lives on because the building has no elevator. The young woman thanks him and offers to walk him home, but she says it is not necessary. She explains that her mother is home and says goodbye, hurrying up the stairs. At home, her mother welcomes her and comments on the gifts she got on the date. The young woman says she does not like the guy and that she did not go on a date or get gifts from him. The mother then reminds her of the debt her father left and that the Wong family offered to pay. She says she does not like the suitor but feels comfortable because she already knows his family. The daughter argues that she is looking for a job, but the mother dismisses her attempts. The woman says she knows he is not a good person, but that he promised to change and break up with the other. Firmly, the young woman says she will not be with Wang Yuan, and her mother is surprised by her attitude. The mother notices the necklace and asks if she rejected the suitor because of her colleague. With a flushed face, she says they are just colleagues, that they happen to have dinner together. The mother is suspicious and wonders if they are already in a serious relationship. The daughter explains that her colleague is rich and the gifts mean nothing to him, but the mother asks if she likes him. She declares that as she stays with him in the future, it will never be for money, but because she likes him. The mother scolds her, saying she is doing everything for her own good and does not want to see her suffer. Tired of the conversation, the young woman asks her mother to stop talking and goes to her room. The mother laments and wonders what she gained by following her father her whole life. The next day, our hero receives a call from little Anne and is surprised. The little girl invites him to her birthday party, and the mother apologizes for her daughter. The system then offers him the mission to play with the girl and gain a new skill. Seeing the reward, he accepts the invitation and promises to go to the little girl's birthday party. The next day, the mother and daughter meet him, and the girl runs to hug him happily. The mother asks her not to overdo it, but our hero invites her to buy a gift. The little girl says she wants his gift because she likes him and asks if the mother does not like him too. Innocently, she says her mother talks about him a lot with her grandpa and that she would be happy. Awkwardly, the mother explains she only mentioned him to her father and asks him not to misunderstand. With a smile, he reassures her and says everything is fine and they can go shopping. Holding hands with the girl, our hero takes her to choose her birthday gift. The mother's face turns completely red with embarrassment from her daughter's indiscretion in front of him. In the store, people comment that they form a happy and very beautiful family together. Other people in the store comment that they are good-looking and that it makes them want to have kids. On the street, the mother thanks him for the gift and for spending the day with them on the birthday. He says the important thing is Anne's happiness, but from afar a man watches them. The man is our protagonist's father, who does not understand why he is with that woman. He calculates the child's age and wonders if his son dated back in school. The father dismisses the idea, remembering that his son only thought about cartoons when he was young. He then wonders if the woman seduced his son but thinks not based on her behavior. His friend asks what he is looking at and why he has not left there yet. Our hero's father is shocked when he recognizes the man with his friend. He then greets Mr. An and says he came with his daughter to have fun. Our protagonist does not understand the situation and stands there watching the strange scene. Surprised, he asks what his father is doing there, and the man says he came to discuss a project. With a smile, he explains he was just playing with the girl and her mother there. The woman approaches and introduces herself to our hero's father, promising a visit. The father is intrigued and wonders if his son really mentions him to the young woman. He decides that if the relationship is real, he will do everything to prevent her from getting close. The friend says that since he knows the CEO, the project will definitely go to his company. With a serious look, he wonders who that woman is, and if his son is really with her. 1 hour later at home, his mother welcomes him and asks about the arranged date. He rejects the idea, saying no one goes on blind dates anymore and he does not need to. The mother insists and asks if he has a girlfriend, and he jokes that he does and there are many. He says it is a complicated subject and he will tell her about it another time. The father then appears and says he thought all night and needs to tell him something. He asks if the woman he was with didn't have a child, and our hero confirms. The young man asks what the problem is since Enzin really does have a small child. The father advises him not to go down the wrong path, and that he does not want him to have problems. He also says she seems rich and that his son would not be doing this for her. Our protagonist realizes his father thinks he is being supported, and that is why he is mad. He then asks his parents to sit down and prepares to tell everything that happened. With a gesture, he says things are the way they are, and there is nothing wrong with him and the young woman. Relieved, the mother says he scared her, and she thought she was going to become a grandmother. In bed, he sees news about an actress attacking a rookie on a film set. Fans praise the goddess' dedication and say she must have worked very hard. Others argue that authenticity is key and that unknown celebrities should not complain. He realizes it was intentional and that they are trying to cover up the case with online trolls. Angrily, he orders his team to ruin the actress's reputation by any means. An hour later, the redhead waits for him and thinks her boss is very handsome and charming. In the car, she asks why he is looking at her, and he offers to help her with the heat. Awkwardly, the young woman puts on her seatbelt, and he invites her to eat hot pot. At a restaurant, a waiter serves the food to the two in a private room. The redhead drinks and complains that she is useless and cannot defend herself from online insults. He advises her to simply fight back if anyone attacks her in the future without hesitation. With tears in her eyes, she thanks him for the help and for him getting a team for her. The young man asks why she still does small roles, and she explains they are old shoots. A message warns that the boss leaked the actress's secrets, and the online hype has already started. He then orders a reward to be offered for more dirty secrets that can take her down. Seeing that the young woman is drinking a lot, he asks her to take it easy and drink less. But she begs him not to stop her because only with him does she dare to truly be herself. 2 hours later, he carries her while she says she is not drunk. Already in bed, the redhead laughs and gets closer to him with a look full of desire and intentions. He thinks it is better to take it easy because taking advantage of the situation would be unpleasant. As he prepares to leave, the young woman holds him and stops him from leaving the room. He thinks she is restless even while sleeping and decides he will deal with it later. The redhead kisses him suddenly, and the two give in to their feelings that night in the hotel room. The mood heats up between them, and the young woman gives herself completely to the moment of pleasure. The camera focuses on the young woman's face, who seems to be really enjoying the night with him. She questions him about what he is doing but seems to be enjoying the situation. He defends himself, saying she was the one who started it but now it is his fault. Pretending to be unconscious, he complains that it hurts and that she should say what she wants. Whispering, he says he only remembers drinking and does not know how he got back to the hotel. She asks him to remove his hand, but he thinks he never knew she had such a good body. The redhead reflects that she drank too much and could not control herself that night with him. She complains of a headache and says drinking is tiring and he can sleep alone. In the bathroom, she looks in the mirror and thinks she has never had so much physical contact before. The next day at a coffee shop, the red-haired young woman drinks her coffee while looking at her cell phone. She asks him how so many of the other actresses' dirty secrets were exposed overnight. With a smile, the young woman questions if by chance he was the one who made all that happen. He confirms and asks if she really thought his company had nobody. The redhead thinks she has never received such treatment, and that he even paid to terminate her contract. With a smile, she thanks him and promises to dedicate herself to making money for her new boss. He says it is just the beginning, and they need more information to ruin her career. The young woman reflects that the boss did all that for her even without having much to gain from it. With a flushed face, she thinks her boss's capital and power are truly frightening. He jokes that he was the one who messed with the actress, and the redhead says she does not want trouble with him. The young man thinks she is anxious because she has never been with him before and finds it fun. Curious, she asks how he manages to be so bold and still remain unshaken. At the other actress's company, the boss complains that they lost millions of followers in half a day. The actress's agent says it must be a competitor because she was with her the whole time. The boss then questions her about the attack and asks if it was because of the other girl. The actress dismisses the rookie, saying she is insignificant and it could not be her. She defends herself, saying it was just a normal shoot and the publicity is good. The boss says he will try to cover it up but warns her to be careful next time. An informant tells the boss that the CEO of Star Entertainment offered $20 million for dirty secrets. The man is shocked to learn the reward amount offered by the rival. He then confronts the actress about her relationship with the CEO and asks if she betrayed him. The actress defends herself, saying she does not remember anything and denies any involvement. The boss gives her a chance and says the case must be related to the rookie. The informant reveals that the rookie is now the protagonist of several hit dramas. With tears in her eyes, the actress confesses she taught the rookie a lesson because she provoked her. Desperate, she begs for help because breaking the contract could cost hundreds of millions. The boss decides to protect the actress and offers $25 million for whoever has dirty secrets on her. He warns her it is the last time and if there is a next time, she will be blacklisted. The blonde calls our hero and says the other company decided to protect the actress. With a smile, he says that makes everything easier and the system will give them a chance. The blonde and the redhead are shocked to learn he will invest $100 million against the actress. The blonde young woman worries about the amount, but he says it is to show the company's strength. He explains he is just starting out and the money is a stepping stone for his ambitions. The young man says he wants everyone in the industry to remember his company and his name. With a smile, the blonde agrees to spread the message and feels a little jealous. In a nightclub, a group of friends comments on the new company that spent $100 million. One of the guys recognizes our protagonist's name and is surprised by the news. The friend reminds him that they met at the auction and he traveled the next day. He says the young man spent millions in 2 days and is only 18 years old. The rich blonde guy realizes our hero is a ruthless and not inexperienced character. One of the friends comments that if he were the actress, he would retire with the $100 million. The rich blonde guy finds our hero interesting and decides to invite him out. In a meeting, the shareholders complain they cannot spend $100 million and tell the boss to pay. The boss threatens that the actress will have to pay the debt by doing commercials and even questionable movies. He yells at the actress, telling her to stop crying and reminding her she did not cry when hitting. Desperate, the woman begs not to be sent to Japan and says she will kneel. The boss agrees and decides to try contacting the CEO of the other company. The next day, our hero's father thanks him for the help with the project and offers a gift. At the dealership, a saleswoman welcomes them, and the father says his son can pick a car. The father does not understand why all the attention is on him and wonders who will pay. Our hero explains it is an early surprise for his father's birthday. The saleswoman that asks him to reveal the gift, and everyone looks on expectantly. The father is shocked to see the luxury supercar and almost falls over from the surprise. The mother jokes that he only remembered his father and bought him an expensive car. The father praises the supercar and says he will go for a ride with his son the next day. He thinks it is better not to tell about the other car for now and focuses on the gift. The saleswoman offers to take a family photo to capture the special moment. The photo shows the happy family with the father holding the key to the new luxury supercar. He tells his parents he needs to go back to Shanghai and sends a message to his friend. The father regrets he has to leave so early because he had plans to race with him. The mother says their son is an adult, and the father agrees that the wife is always right. Our hero thinks his mother always has his father under control and admires their relationship. At the airport, he runs into his friend Zhou Ying in the security line and is surprised. He bumps into her on purpose, and the young woman gets startled by the unexpected touch. The young woman is shocked to see him there and does not understand how he found her. With a smile, he says he cannot bear to be away from her and wants to go together on the trip. She wonders if it is another vacation trip, and her friendship level goes up to 88. He explains he has work matters to handle, and she gets excited about the idea. The young man praises her, saying he is looking at her because she is very beautiful. With a flushed face, she hurries to the boarding gate, and he follows closely behind. Already on the plane, the young woman seems to be feeling unwell, and he asks what is happening. She explains it is an old problem from when she used to fly and that she is a little scared. With an innocent and shy look, she thanks him for the help and says she is fine now. He approaches her with an intense look and prepares to take it a step further. Without hesitating, our hero kisses her passionately, and she kisses him back. The two kiss intensely on the plane, enjoying the romantic moment together. A flight attendant appears and offers a warm towel for him to freshen up. The young woman gets awkward and asks what happens if someone sees them kissing on the plane. She says she is going to take a nap, and he invites her to rest her head on his shoulder. 2 hours later at the airport, he offers to give her a ride, but she prefers to take a cab. She thinks their relationship is not yet ready for the next step. Saying goodbye, he asks her to let him know when she arrives, and she gets into the yellow cab. He reflects that she might have been scared on the plane, and that it is better to take it easy. Back at the hotel, the manager welcomes him and asks if he wants dinner or to take a shower. He notices the manager seems distant and acting purely professional. The young man invites her for a massage, and she thinks he forgot her but accepts the invitation. The young woman knows he is not a faithful man, but even so, she cannot resist him. Even if it is for a brief moment, the manager is willing to accept whatever he offers. Already in the bathtub, our hero says the last few days have been quite tough for Manager Wong. With her face completely flushed, the woman gets out of the tub wrapped in a towel, looking nervous. He holds her and says not to rush and that she should eat first because she must be tired. With a smile, the young man picks her up and asks if his performance seemed tiring to her. The manager says that was not what she meant while he carries her straight to the bedroom. The scene cuts, but the two enjoy the night together, and the mood really heats up between them. The next day, she wakes up and worries about how she will explain her long absence to her colleagues. The young woman reflects that Mr. Jiang stayed awake almost all night the previous night. He pulls her back to bed and asks why panic if her client is right there. With a seductive look, he says her job is to serve and he wants to sleep a little longer. She worries someone will see them, but he says it is normal, because now she is his woman. Surprised by the declaration, the manager asks if that means she is now his girlfriend. He replies that if she wants to be his girlfriend, then she is, leaving her a bit confused. The young man explains that as long as she wants to stay by his side, she will be his girlfriend. Period. Even knowing how he is, the young woman asks if he has a tiny bit of affection for her. He replies that of course he likes her, and if he didn't, he would not be holding her like that. The manager asks him not to bring other women when he's with her, and the young man promises. With the promise made, the two kiss again and continue to enjoy their moment together. Someone notifies that a client's car has arrived, and she tells him they should go unload the vehicle. Outside the hotel, our hero signs the car delivery papers with an employee. The workers open the container to reveal the car, and he thinks the vehicle is very cool. People are shocked to see the Porsche 918 and comment that the owner must be very rich. Meanwhile, the hotel CEO Wang Minyan gets stuck in traffic because of the delivery. An employee approaches and informs the boss that Mr. Jiang's car is being unloaded. Irritated, the CEO complains about being stuck and tells the employee to ask them to move the car. The employee gets in a tough spot, remembering the boss ordered to treat Jiang very well. Not knowing what to do, manager Zhou nervously approaches the guest's luxury car. Already inside the car, our hero sees the approach and asks the manager what happened. The manager tries to explain, but the CEO pushes him aside and thinks he is an idiot for not warning him. With a fake smile, the boss says it is nothing and that with his presence, it is normal. The young man asks if something is wrong, and the CEO says he just came to see if he was comfortable. With that, he asks for a Modu license plate and wonders if the boss has special channels. The man says a client of his has a good plate, and he will see if she is willing to transfer it. Relaxing in the car, our hero thinks an auction plate must be really good. An hour later, the boss calls, saying he set up a meeting and sent the address. At the restaurant, the protagonist asks why the CEO is alone, and he says she arrived. With that, a stunning woman enters the place, catching everyone's attention with her beauty. Impressed by the young woman, our hero asks the system to check her stats right away. The system shows she has absolute loyalty and her name is Chen Xier, the manager of his company. He is surprised by the loyalty and realizes she has no romantic feelings for him. The boss prepares to introduce manager Chen, but she completely ignores him. The woman goes straight to the young man and asks what the company president is doing there. The CEO is shocked and wonders why she is acting so intimately with the young man. The young woman asks if by chance he forgot about his own investment company. He then remembers that Chen Xier is the manager the system arranged for his company. With a smile, she teases him, asking if he really forgot about her like that. He denies it and gives her a pat, saying she did a good job, and the young woman is startled. The boss cannot believe what he sees and thinks about her reputation as the Ice Queen. He reflects on the brilliant career of the young woman, who is a prodigy in the financial world. The man realizes the young man is the company boss and that he is completely ignoring her. The CEO is terrified, thinking that if it is not a power play, the young man is frightening. Already at the table, the young woman says she did not imagine he was her boss, and he says it is destiny. The boss makes a toast, praising the young man for having a strong company and a great assistant. Our hero asks him not to be so formal and to make himself at home during dinner. Manager Chen then starts talking about business and the company's promising investments. He thinks he was busy the night before, but saw she made 20 million in profit. The young woman gets irritated, thinking her boss never contacts her and does not care. She then changes the subject and asks if he is the one who wants the 5 million plate. The hotel boss then says he did not expect them to be from the same company and that no introductions are needed. The young woman says she was reluctant to give the plate, but since it is for the boss, it is another story, and he thanks her. With a seductive look, she says she will eagerly await his visit and guidance. With that, his friend from the car show calls and invites him to see a private collection. 2 hours later, he arrives at a mansion and is greeted by his friends. One of the friends praises the new car plate, saying it matches another colleague's plate. Our hero explains that a pretty woman gave it to him and refused to accept the money. The colleague jokes about his charm and says the collection owner is also a woman, and he asks her age. The friend explains she does not look old but already has kids and is well established. With a smile, the young man teases, saying it is time for our hero to show his skills. Our protagonist jokes, saying he has bad teeth and needs soft foods to eat. The blonde guy then invites everyone inside and says whoever spends the most today pays the night's bill. One of the friends comments that the museum owner is one of the biggest collectors in China. A butler welcomes them, saying the host is on her way and asked him to entertain them. Once inside the mansion, a maid serves tea and snacks for the guys while they wait. The colleague gets excited about the items and points to a watch, saying it looks very good. Analyzing the pieces, our hero sees that all the rings and necklaces are of the highest quality. The blonde guy is interested in an 8 million watch, and the friend in a 1.5 million one. One of the friends jokes with the blonde guy, saying he is a true collector in nightclubs. The blonde guy scolds his friends, saying he buys watches to tell time and nothing else. Our protagonist joins the joke and tells his friend to leave the women to him. With a smile, the blonde guy provokes him, and our hero says he liked a model that is not for sale. The friend is shocked to learn he only looks at watches in the tens of millions. The blonde guy then accuses him of wanting to wear the watch and enjoy everything by himself without them. One of the young men then asks the butler if the watch is unavailable for purchase. Our hero admires the watch in the display case and thinks the more he looks, the more he likes it. The friend tries to cheer him up, saying not to be disappointed because they can come back another time. Suddenly, a woman in a black dress and high heels enters the room where they are. The butler bows and respectfully greets her, calling the young woman master. With a smile, the woman apologizes for the delay, saying traffic was very bad. The friends greet her as Sister Shin and are impressed by her beauty and aura. Our hero is shocked to realize the collection owner is the woman he saved. She also recognizes him right away and asks in surprise what he is doing there with them. The blonde friend finds her reaction strange and wonders how the two know each other like that. He says he never imagined the place was hers, and the woman asks what he is doing in Shanghai. The young woman mentions that her daughter Anne never stops talking about him and would look for him if she knew. One of the guys then realizes the two are old acquaintances and is surprised by the scene. She asks if he had his eye on the watch, and he confirms but says it was not for sale. With a seductive smile, she says that if he liked the item, that is enough for her. Then the woman orders the butler to get the watch and give it to our protagonist. The friends are left speechless seeing she is giving away a 10 million item for free. A colleague complains about the treatment, saying she imposes conditions on them, but gives everything to the young man. The young woman explains he is different and that if he likes something, she can give him everything. Shocked, the friends wonder if she would really give him her 1 billion collection. The butler approaches and confirms with the host that the watch he wants is the Patek. She offers to get the item, but he refuses the gift and offers to buy it. The woman asks why he's being so formal, and he insists he cannot accept it. With that, she drops the idea and invites him to see her other collections, and he accepts. The friends ask if they can go along, even knowing it is a taboo among collectors. One of the guys comments that the place's security level is comparable to a bank vault. Going up a staircase, she explains that bodyguards are standard procedure for the place. The woman then welcomes them to her private collection and tells them to look around freely. The guys are amazed to see that each model is unique and a priceless treasure. They recognize watches from famous movies like James Bond and Terminator. She asks if he liked any others, but he says he will just stick with the first one he picked. In her thoughts, she decides she will give him the gift another time so as not to embarrass him. Half an hour later, a friend thanks him for the experience, and our hero makes a suggestive joke. The colleague gets all awkward with the joke and denies being interested in that. The blonde guy questions him about the woman, and he explains it is only the third time they have met. The friends get jealous and wonder how he won her affection so fast. He explains they are exaggerating and it is mainly because her daughter likes him. The friends laugh and call him a beast for not even sparing the little girl, and he tells them to get lost. The host returns with the watch and proposes selling it for 23 million, splitting the value. The young man agrees and asks her to help him put the watch on, saying he will make the transfer. With a smile, she says it is no problem and helps him put the accessory on his wrist. He then thanks her and praises it, saying it looks perfect and very comfortable on his arm. The woman watches him with a satisfied look and a smile full of ulterior motives. The friends comment that she seems to be enjoying it and that the protagonist is top tier at flirting. With that, he announces the money was transferred and says goodbye to leave with his friends. One of the colleagues reminds them that whoever spends the most pays the bill, and today it is our hero's turn. He thinks about the cashback cards and tells his friends to pick a place since he does not know any. One of them suggests a new bathhouse with first-class service, and the young man asks if it is legal. The colleague jokes that no one would go if it were totally legal, and he says he needs a massage. Another friend agrees and says his neck and shoulders are sore and very tired. The blonde guy then tells them to stop acting and that he will lead the way to the place. Arriving there, the manager welcomes them and introduces his massage models with great technique. The blonde friend says it is the young man's first time there, and he should choose first. The manager then asks which one he likes, and the system shows all their stats. Information about other young women appears on the screen with their details and friendship levels. He notices that only the girl named Xia Meng has a privacy value equal to 0. Without a second thought, our protagonist points to the young woman and says he will take her. The manager then scolds the young woman and orders her to go serve the young master immediately. The blonde friend, already with his partner, tells the others to get something to eat after they choose. Already at the table, the young man asks his companion why she is so nervous and invites her to eat. With that, the pink-haired streamer calls and asks if he missed her and wants to see him tonight. He says he has a business dinner and they will meet tomorrow, and the friend teases him. Shortly after, he receives another call and tells the young woman he was talking to a client. The woman on the other end asks when he will see her, and he promises to go the next morning. The friends are shocked that is another person and propose a contest to see who calls the most. Laughing, the young man says he will not answer anymore so as not to interrupt the friends' gathering. The friend comments that Brother Jiang is a total scoundrel while eating a snack at the party. Another colleague agrees, saying he is not just a jerk but also a master of time management. The blonde guy advises not to overdo it in youth, and a friend asks him to share his thoughts. With that, he runs his hand over his companion and says the difference gets big with age. The colleague complains that even older, the blonde friend still manages to handle things every month. The other guy tells him not to be discouraged and says he will send a truck of pills to help him. Then the blonde guy asks why our hero spent 100 million to get back at actress Lin Ru. The protagonist is confused and says he never met her, questioning where the rumor came from. The colleague doubts it and asks if the actress offended one of his many sisters-in-law by chance. Without paying much mind, he just takes a sip of his drink and replies that it was not quite like that. The blonde guy tells his companion to think carefully about how to serve the god of wealth later. The young woman named Xiameng just watches him attentively while sitting on the couch. 20 minutes later, he takes her to a room and says they should take a shower first. Already in the bathroom, the young man takes off his shirt, while the young woman gets the shower ready for them. The young woman is impressed by his physique and wonders if she will be able to keep up. He then asks why she is so spaced out and what she is thinking about so much. The young woman explains her grandmother is sick and she needs money for medical expenses. He calls her a good granddaughter and approaches her with an affectionate and intentional look. The two kiss in the shower, and he promises he will treat her very well that night. The next day, the young woman wakes up alone and wonders if the young master has already left. She then finds a card and a note he left for her on the bed before leaving. The note says the card has 100,000 and wishes her grandmother a quick recovery. At the same time, in an elevator, the protagonist is on his phone, and the redhead accompanies him. With a smile, the actress recognizes him and greets him, calling him her boss, Mr. Jiang. He questions why she only greeted him there, and she says she feared being photographed. With a smile, the young man jokes with her and asks if she is that popular now. The redhead thanks him for the support and says her recent popularity is all thanks to him. She says she only sees him thanks to the blonde, and he encourages her to look for him if she misses him. With that, the blonde young woman appears and asks why he arrived together with actress Suwon. He explains it was just a coincidence, and the blonde offers to take him to the office. The redhead tells them to go ahead and call her if they need anything. The female employees wonder if the handsome young man is a new artist at their company. Already in the office, he praises the place's decor to the blonde young woman, who accompanies him. She is happy he liked it and with a smile offers tea to her new boss. The young man drinks the beverage and says it is good, but young people prefer milk tea. With that, the young woman offers to send someone to buy the tea he likes right away. He then hugs her from behind and says there is no need to go far, because what he wants is already there. Half an hour later, the redhead appears and asks her colleague how the conversation with the president went. With a flushed face, the blonde says she is finished and needs to fetch some documents. The actress notices her lipstick is smudged, and the young woman blames the poor brand of the product. Then the redhead points out a white smudge on her face and offers to clean it. Awkwardly, the blonde young woman says it was careless and she will touch up her makeup immediately. Alone, the actress wonders why her colleague was so panicked by the whole situation. Touching a document, she notices the same smudge and realizes it is something sticky. With a strange smell, she wonders what the two of them ate in the office. With that, the redhead enters the office and asks the boss if she can take a look around. He says the decision is hers, and the young woman praises the luxurious decor of the environment. With a smile, the young man invites her to experience all of it together with him. The actress then offers to give him a massage with techniques she learned. He complains about the lack of pressure, and she increases her strength to please her boss. The young man seems to like it more now, and the redhead wonders what will happen next. Relaxed by the massage, our hero ends up falling asleep in the office chair. The young woman gets irritated that he fell asleep and thinks she is a real masseuse. Seeing the blonde return, the actress asks her to wake up the boss who is still sleeping. The blonde young woman approaches and tries to wake President Jiang, who seems to be sleeping heavily. Waking the young man, the blonde says it is not time to rest because there are many matters to attend to. Seeing the two busy, the redhead says she will not bother them anymore and leaves the room. In her thoughts, she feels silly for suspecting something between the two of them. 2 hours later, the blonde asks why he was sleeping so deeply earlier. He then pulls her close, calls her mischievous, and asks if she is looking for trouble. With a smile, the blonde young woman jokes and asks how many other sisters she has besides her. He replies that by his count there are 2, and she wants to know if she already knows them. The young man explains that one of them is Manager Wang, and the other is an unknown streamer. She asks if the streamer is prettier, and he says she is special because she was the first. The blonde feels special and asks one last question, if he can keep up with all 3. He gets the message, pulls her close, and asks if she wants a better performance. Thinking of revenge, she says she can give him a little more attention tonight. Later, already in the car, our hero feels a little hungry after so much activity. He stops at a street food stall and asks the vendor if he can park around there. With a smile, he orders 10 skewers of kidneys, 20 portions of oysters, and a cold Coke. 2 customers comment on the young man's order and say he needs to replenish his energy. One of them jokes that at his age, he would not even need supplements to handle things. Suddenly, the vendor runs in and warns that his luxury car was hit. Unshaken, he tells the man not to worry and asks if the food is ready. The other customers are shocked by his calmness and think he is the son of a billionaire. The vendor then appears with the owner of the other car, who seems quite embarrassed. The young man apologizes and explains a dog crossed the street and he had to swerve. Eating a skewer, he says the important thing is that the other driver is safe and sound. He tells him not to worry and that the other guy can handle it however he sees fit, and the young man makes a call. On the phone, the driver thinks the young man's calmness means he is incredibly wealthy. He then announces he has already called someone to take care of the car and invites him to eat something. Already at the restaurant, the young man named Chu Yuan answers a call from his friend Brother Kong. Shortly after, Wang Kongming, son of the richest man, arrives and complains about being called. Chu Yuan explains he took his sister's car and absolutely could not call insurance. With that, he introduces our hero to his powerful friend as the owner of the other car. The two greet each other, and Wang praises the young man's good attitude despite the crashed car. Chu Yuan says he needs to leave but his friend's men will handle everything for him. The rich man's son then offers to give our hero a ride home. He refuses the ride and Wang is impressed by his generosity and wants to be his friend. Arriving at the hotel, the manager waits for him and asks why he has not gone inside yet. She says she was afraid to bother him, but that it is fine because she did not wait long. He praises the manager's perfume, and she says it is addictive and called black opium. With a mischievous smile, he pulls her close and asks what happens if he gets addicted. The manager replies that it would be even better, because that is exactly the effect she wanted. The stall customers comment that if they keep watching, they will not sleep tonight. Already in the room, he reminds her of their agreement and that she would be responsible for whatever happened. With a flushed face, she gives into the moment, and the two enjoy the night at the hotel. The young man's driver leaves with a red face, thinking about what happened. The next day at breakfast, she thinks an ordinary man would have already been exhausted. With that, he receives a message from Zhou Ying inviting him to lunch, and he accepts. He then says goodbye to the manager, thanking her for breakfast, and says the meal restored him. In a store, the young woman in shorts says they do not need to walk around and can wait for the food. Our hero asks if she liked any bags, but she denies it and says she does not want anything. He insists, saying it is normal between couples and that if she refuses it will create distance. The young woman thinks his gifts are always very expensive and feels awkward about the situation. He then suggests she try on a bag, and the young woman agrees to try the item. The young man calls the saleswoman and asks for 2 more sets of new clothes for the young woman. Awkwardly, she says it is not necessary and that if he insists, she will leave the store. He thinks about using the cashback card, but the bag is cheap, and he does not want to embarrass her. With a smile, he hands the card to the saleswoman and tells her to close the purchase. Already on the escalator, she invites him to a hot pot restaurant on the 4th floor. Arriving there, he recognizes the streamer Qiao Yinyan doing a live stream alone at the restaurant. The pink-haired young woman sees him arrive with another woman and is shocked by her beauty. His school friend asks if he knows the streamer, and he thinks about how to answer. With a natural reaction, he says it is a coincidence and greets her as if it were nothing. He then approaches and asks if she is doing a live stream eating hot pot alone. The streamer ends the broadcast and says she had an emergency and needs to leave early. She then puts her phone away and asks why he did not introduce his new girlfriend. With a smile, the pink-haired young woman introduces herself as Qiao Yinyan, our hero's friend. The school friend finds her look strange but decides not to be too sensitive to avoid problems. The school friend then introduces herself to the streamer, and the two shake hands in the restaurant. Our hero watches the scene with a mischievous smile and finds it all very interesting. The pink-haired young woman invites the two to eat, but he refuses, saying there is no food. But the streamer insists they eat together, and the other young woman feels a bit awkward. She says she is happy to meet them, and that she has no time to make friends because of work. With that, the pink-haired young woman calls the waiter and asks him to bring more food to the table. The colleague asks what he thinks of the situation, and the young man agrees to sit with them. Already at the table, the streamer praises the young man's unique watch and asks if it is very expensive. He then thinks to himself that where there are many women, there is also much drama. The former colleague gets a look of surprise and seems a bit worried about the mood. The young man lies, saying it is a new kid's model and that it only cost 1,500. Even so, the young woman notices the materials, and the streamer realizes the brand is Richard Lille. The pink-haired young woman gets irritated to learn the watch is worth millions, and that she was fooled. Then the streamer offers food to the colleague and says the hot pot is quite authentic. With an investigative look, she asks the other young woman how she met our hero. The young woman replies simply and directly that they were high school classmates. The streamer just says she understands and continues eating while watching the two together. Our protagonist eats quietly without caring much about the tense atmosphere at the table. Suddenly, the streamer starts teasing him under the table, and he decides to play along. Without the other noticing, he responds to her teasing with a bold touch underneath. The pink-haired young woman is surprised and her face turns completely red from the young man's reaction. He thinks she is two-faced and wants to see what the streamer's next move will be. To cover it up, he forces himself to tell jokes to his colleague while the game continues. With a smile, he decides to go a little further to see how far she can handle the situation. He then continues the teasing game under the table, leaving the streamer with no way out. Unable to hold back, the pink-haired young woman bursts into laughter at the table. She says she remembered something funny, and the colleague thinks she is a cool, carefree girl. The young woman then tells her to stop thinking about it and eat, because the meat will get overcooked. The streamer thanks her and says it was very funny, but that she will not think about it anymore. Under the table, she begs for forgiveness with her eyes, and he decides to leave her alone for now. Our hero then stands up and tells his colleague he needs to go to the restroom real quick. 3 minutes later, he returns and finds it strange to see the two exchanging contacts as if nothing happened. The streamer declares they are now best friends and are going shopping together. With a satisfied smile, the young man thinks the two girls are truly incredible. The Chiyuan sends a message to meet him at the bar, but he says he does not need company. With a wink, the pink-haired young woman guarantees that her friend will be fine with her. He thinks the fact that they became friends is an unexpected twist of fate. Arriving at the nightclub, the rich man's son welcomes him with a girl and invites him to sit. Wang then introduces young Master Jiang to the other girls at the welcome party. A young man comments on Director Wang's impressive entourage and his ability to accommodate. Another questions why the host gave up the center seat to some random stranger. With that, Kyuan appears to apologize for hitting our protagonist's car. He says there is no need and that those are minor matters, and Kyuan offers to pay the bill. With a smile, the young man orders 5 sets of Golden Dragon drinks for the party. 2 young women at the nightclub are shocked by the 500,000 drink order all at once. The rich man's son praises his generosity, and Chi-Yoan says he is going to be poor again. Our hero is surprised by the friendship of the two, and the system shows their stats. He thanks his friend for taking care of everything, and the other says he is very kind. Chi-Yoan tells the waiter to bring everything under Brother Zhang's name, and he agrees right away. The DJ announces the order, and everyone in the nightclub cheers and applauds young Master Jiang. People wonder who the mysterious young man is and comment on the rich man's game. Everyone at the party gets excited and speculates that he is a hidden rich kid. With a toast, the 3 friends celebrate the moment and have fun together at the nightclub. A blonde young woman approaches for a toast, and our hero is surprised she is a foreigner. She explains her mother is Chinese and she needs to work 10 years to get residency. With a seductive look, the young woman says she currently works as a model in the city. He suggests she become an online influencer, and she asks which type would be better. The young man explains the era of internet celebrities will be different, and she can become famous. She says she films vlogs, but her life is not interesting enough to attract followers. He then reveals the secret to wealth, saying she just has to say she loves China. Shocked, the foreign young woman asks if what he just told her is true. The rich man's son then asks if our hero is also eyeing this market. The young man explains he is not interested in the industry itself but in its economics. He then says the real money comes from the platforms that create these influencers. With that, the young man explains the market is fragmented and needs a unified community. The rich man's son understands the idea and asks if he wants to build an MCN agency. The young man says no, and that if it is about making money, let it be through initial funding. Wang praises astuteness but reminds him the market is already quite saturated. In his thoughts, the protagonist knows short videos will blow up in 4 years. He remembers a company that grew absurdly with low initial funding. The next round of investments is in a few months, and he cannot miss this opportunity. Chi-Yuan approaches with a girl and complains the two are talking about business. The rich man's son tells him to get lost because he does not understand anything they are discussing. Our hero then says they need a new platform and new opportunities for that. He decides to change the subject for now and invites his friends to drink together. With a toast, the group celebrates and decides to drink until they drop that night at the nightclub. 2 hours later, Kyuan invites his friend to go to a hotel, but he refuses. Our hero thinks the other girls are not as attractive as the blonde and the streamer. Kyuan worries about the driver, and the young man says everything is fine and thanks him for the advice. With a smile, he says he understands and that his friend does not need to worry about it anymore. The rich man's son thanks him for the guidance and says goodbye, saying they will continue later. The young man then says goodbye to his friends and leaves the nightclub with 2 girls by his side. In the car, the streamer watches from afar and wonders who the young women with him are. She then approaches him and says she came to pick him up, but the blonde tells her to back off quickly. The foreigner thanks him for his teachings and says she will ask for advice again another time. The streamer asks where they are going, and our hero replies they are going to her house. Surprised, the young woman asks if he was not going to the house of the other young woman beside him. He thinks the activities under the table are fun, but her tantrum is not. The young man reminds her of her choice and says she can leave if she regrets her decision. She denies it, saying she is just a little greedy, and he asks if he was not good enough. Afraid of being forgotten, she says he is too good, and the young man assures her he will not forget her. He then asks if she likes him, and the young man replies that of course he likes his woman. With a seductive look, the streamer says he left her wanting more and asks for his help. Already in the young woman's small apartment, he is surprised by the size of the place, and she invites him in. On the bed, she asks him to go first, and the two enjoy the night in the apartment. The next day, he wakes up and asks how she woke up so fast, offering to buy coffee. She says she does not need to, and they can go out to eat because she has no kitchen at home. The young man asks how much the rent is, and the young woman replies she pays $1,600. He thinks it is cheap but small, and she explains it is not easy to find something like that in Shanghai. The streamer says her roommates criticized her, which is why she moved and dropped out of school. Our hero thinks it is normal for girls not to like her because she is so stunning. With that, he suggests she move and that she can pick a good neighborhood without worry. Thrilled, the young woman thanks him, says she will go tomorrow, and the two lie down again. He notices her empty wardrobe and offers to take her to buy some new clothes. The young woman refuses and says all she needs is a piece of his heart with her. He understands how she feels and tells her to get up and get ready so they can go out. Arriving at a luxury store, the couple is welcomed by a saleswoman at the door. The employee recognizes the young man and thinks rich people are amazing with their new girlfriends. At the register, the saleswoman informs him the purchase total is $480,000, and he pays. The system congratulates him for getting $48 million back with the cashback card. Leaving the store, he invites her to have milk tea, and the two walk down the street. Suddenly, a little boy approaches and asks for help for his family going through hard times. Moved by the story, the pink-haired streamer feels very bad for the boy. She then gives all the money she has to the boy and wishes him a happy life. People around comment that it is a scam and that she is playing innocent. But our hero looks into the boy's eyes and realizes he does not seem like a scammer. With a good heart, he approaches and offers more money to help the boy. The little boy kneels and thanks him very much, wishing him a long and healthy life. The system then rewards him with the mind perception skill for his kindness. Surprised, he wonders if the new skill is almost like reading minds and if it is that powerful. People recognize the young man from the video with the rich guy and wonder if he is crazy. The system then confirms that the boy's story is true and he is not lying. With the new skill, our hero realizes the boy's gratitude and pain are genuine. He asks how much is missing for the surgery, and the boy says he needs $28,000. Irritated, the young man thinks it is the scammer's fault that people do not help anymore. He then approaches, tells the boy he knows he is not lying, and takes him along. Already at a bank, he hands $100,000 to the boy to pay for his mother's surgery. The boy says it is too much money because the surgery only costs $28,000. The streamer accompanying him is confused and does not understand what he is doing. The young man explains the rest is for treatments and to improve the family's life. With tears in his eyes, the boy thanks him and promises to repay him when he grows up, and he takes him. The system rewards him for saving the boy with the danger perception skill. He thinks the new skill is divine and will help him avoid getting hurt in the future. 1 hour later at the hospital, the streamer feels bad for having bought so many things. He receives a call from his friend inviting him to a race because his car is ready. Half an hour later, they arrive at the place and the friend praises him for his great influence. The young man gets irritated by the teasing, and the two start arguing in a very funny way. The friend questions the young man's logic, and the two continue trading funny remarks. The rich man's son asks if there is any difference, and the colleague is left without an answer. Irritated, the young man complains that he only knows how to show off, and they cannot have a normal conversation. The streamer is impressed by the number of cars and asks if they have every model. The friend says they reserved the place and she can test any car she wants. Our hero then tells her that if she wants, she can take a ride in one of the cars later. With a racing heart and shining eyes, the pink-haired young woman accepts right away. The friend calls a girl and asks her to take the sister-in-law for a test drive. The young woman named Jialian agrees and takes the streamer to choose one of the luxury cars. The young man gets jealous and wonders when he can have a car like that for himself. Our protagonist then asks why he does not have a car if he does not seem broke. The friend explains his father will not let him buy a new car because of accidents. With a smile, the young man says that if he has no money, he should make some then. The rich man's son provokes him, saying his inconsistent approach does not work for stocks. With that, the system shows the stock information card our hero just earned. The card indicates an American stock with a strong upward trend and very promising. The young man then says investing in stocks is good because it makes fast money, and the friend asks if he invests. The system then gives him a mission to invite friends and analyze an American stock. He realizes the important thing is not the reward but the opportunity to build connections. The young man says he does not usually do this but has information of a 25% return. The rich man's son doubts the information and says such a high return seems quite suspicious. The colleague asks if the news is reliable and our hero guarantees the risk is almost zero. Curious, the white-haired young man with a pierced ear asks what this promising stock is. He does not reveal the details but says that if the friend is interested, his company can handle it. With a smile, he says the amount is small, but he can arrange a good deal for him. The friend then asks how much he is planning to invest in that whole operation. Our protagonist shows his cell phone, and the colleague is shocked to see the amount of money. The rich man's son jokes, saying he's the richest man's son, but the young man is the real one. He tells his friend to think about it, and that if he does not want to, he does not have to, and it will not affect their friendship. With a determined look, the white-haired young man says he will invest 100 million on the spot. The other colleague complains he only has 700,000 and asks for some time to gather more money. The streamer standing nearby hears the conversation and is shocked by the 600 million investment. She then wonders how much money he really has and what his family's background is.